correct.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Happy Friday!
Oh man,
How you feeling today, buddy?
I wake and bake.
Who doesn't?
I just love saying wake and bake. Wake and bake.
All right, how's it going? Holler if you can hear us here. Looks like we got some people on the line. Shout out to the people who joined the live stream chat early. KMA Barry, he's usually the first one. And we'd give you a prize if we could.
Yeah, here we go. Vroom. Sorry.
The old classic Blue Mustang bit.
Blue Mustang.
All right, your Ben Joravsky show for Friday, February 21st is moments away. But before we get into that, we got to thank the following unions for sponsoring this program. Unions like the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Local 126 and District 8. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9 are sponsors, as well as the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150. Thank you, unions. And, of course, today's Ben Joravsky Show is brought to you in part by our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. Hit them with it, Ben.
You know, I don't know why I was thinking of this song. Something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. Yeah, that's enough.
Yes, it is. The Ben Joravsky Show starts now. Friday, February 21st. And live from the Chicago Sun-Times Chicago Reader Studio on Racine Avenue, this is The Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, it's another Rummana Rundown with Chicago Sun-Times editor Rummana Hussain. We welcome back political strategist Candis Castillo, and the Heartland Mamas are back. I repeat, the Heartland Mamas are back. Heidi Henry and Murray Briel. And now your host, not a Heartland Mama, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Open Mic Friday. And here's why. So, believe it or not, folks, I watched a Trump rally yesterday. Yes, indeed. I got home from doing the show, flopped down on my bed, exhausted. Man, I'll tell you what, the Dr. D's got me running from pillar to post. I'm exhausted after doing these shows. He's hard on a guy. And I watched a Trump rally, D. And you know what, Dennis, you've told me about him. You've watched him many, many more than I have. You're kind of like a connoisseur of them.
All right, let's not go painting a picture here.
Well, no, I mean, you know, hey, it's politics in America in the 21st century. You have to watch them. I haven't watched one in a while, and so I got a couple thoughts about having watched. I think this is in Colorado is where he was. And the first thing is, I have to tell you, in his own way, he's kind of entertaining.
For those on the download, no, Ben is not wearing his Bulls/MAGA hat right now.
No, I'm wearing my other Bulls hat. But I mean, I'm just like trying to be as quote unquote objective as I possibly can. He has a style it's actually kind of entertaining in its own way. The problem is his material. He doesn't have a lot of great material. He's got a pretty good style. So yesterday's theme when I was watching, I didn't watch the entire Trump rally. I'm just going to put that out there. I watched a good chunk of it, though, was he was making fun of Michael Bloomberg. And let's face it, it's an easy target. Bloomberg was absolutely terrible in Tuesday's debate. I think we can all agree. Everybody, Democrats, Republicans, Bernie Democrats, Klobuchar Democrats, people who love Mayor Pete, people who don't love Mayor Pete. I think we can all agree, if we're just being objective.
Still looking for those people who really love Mayor Pete, by the way.
I know there are a lot of baby boomers. He's such a nice young man. He held the door open for me. He's such a nice young man. My beloved baby boomers, you have let me so down. Good God.
We would love to have any of you mysterious people on the program.
But baby boomers love Mayor Pete. Oh, isn't he so nice? He helped me with my groceries. Anyway, sorry, I went on a baby boomer for Mayor Pete. That's the only people who like him. Confused baby boomers. Oh, God, the baby boomer generation. Don't get me started. Anyway, back to Donald Trump. Speaking of baby boomers, I think technically Donald Trump is a baby boomer, D. But I don't think he likes Mayor Pete. Anyway, Donald Trump was going on a riff about Mayor Bloomberg, Michael Bloomberg's horrific performance on Tuesday's show and Tuesday's debate. And you know what? I think Trump... First of all, this is something that Trump does that no Democratic president has ever done. He's openly commenting on the democratic process. You know, Barack Obama was above it all. I'm above politics. The Democrats always played this pretense that they were above politics, when, of course, behind the scenes, they were up to their waist in the muck and the mire, but they pretended they were above it. Trump just throws that out the window. He's openly commenting, riffing, joking, mocking, taunting, and he's having great fun at the expense of Bloomberg, because Bloomberg has, as everybody knows, financed his multi-million-dollar campaign against Trump. His big moment on the stage on Tuesday, he totally bombed. He was like a deer in the headlights. He didn't know how to answer questions on his feet. He didn't know how to respond. You figured he would have prepped. He had months and months to prep for his first debate. He didn't know how to answer the counterpunch that Elizabeth Warren threw him right from the get-go. We got that. Let's listen to it. You got that, D? Bloomberg the counterpunch that Elizabeth Warren threw. Can we play that?
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg. Democrats are not going to win if we have a nominee who has a history of hiding his tax returns, of harassing women, and of supporting racist policies like redlining and stop and frisk. Look, I'll support whoever the Democratic nominee is, but understand this. Democrats take a huge risk if we just substitute one arrogant billionaire for another. This country has worked for the rich for a long time and left everyone else in the dirt. It is time to have a president who will be on the side of working families and be willing to get out there and fight for them. That is why I am in this race, and that is how I will beat Donald Trump.
Senator.
All right, very powerful opening for Elizabeth Warren, and went hard at Michael Bloomberg, who is soared to the top of the polls, or near the top of the polls, I should say. He's not at the top three. I just saw a Sun-Times story today that he's actually second in Illinois. My fellow Illinois Democrats, he's got $1 billion, man. He's got $60 billion. Let's vote for him. Who cares what he stands for, or what he said, or what he's done? We're a cynical lot. Anyway, so going back to the debate, so he was hit hard, and he never recovered. He didn't know how to recover. It was as though he wasn't prepared, Bloomberg, that for the obvious criticism that someone was going to put at him. Let's contrast that with Donald John Trump. Can you do the Rosie O'Donnell a bit, D?
Thank you.
For the record, it was well beyond Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes,
Let me
I'm sure.
rewind it there.
Yeah, this is a bit from a debate in 2016. Candidate Donald Trump.
Your Twitter account, animals,
You got it?
dogs,
There we go. Sorry about that.
slobs, and disgusting. You've called women you don't like
There we go.
fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account has
Only Rosie
several-
O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
All right, that's Megyn Kelly questioning Donald Trump at a debate in 2016. That's how Donald Trump dealt with his past, the remarks he's made, misogynist remarks he's made in the past. He made a joke at Rosie O'Donnell's expense. The crowd loved it. Crowd absolutely loved it, and that's it. And Donald Trump was bragging about that at his rally yesterday. He was saying, Bloomberg couldn't handle the tough question. I dismiss it with the Rosie O'Donnell joke. That's how you do it. And the crowd, once again, is cheering. And then they start breaking in the lock her up chants. Like, I guess they were saying lock up Rosie O'Donnell. That's how Donald Trump dealt with the question about his misogynistic past. I just have to say, in defense of Michael Bloomberg, it's not really a defense of Michael Bloomberg, just pointing out something that's for real. That's an unacceptable response in a Democratic primary. To make a joke out of it all, to trivialize it, and just to do it at the expense of Rosie O'Donnell is not an acceptable response in a Democratic primary, but it does indicate how low the standards are. There are no standards in the Republican primary. That's an acceptable response in a Republican primary. Therefore, the Republicans are saying, we don't care if our nominee is a misogynist. If our nominee has made degrading comments about women, we don't care. We'll elect him anyway. We'll cheer him on when he continues to make these misogynistic, nasty comments. We have no standards. It's the same thing when it comes to law and order. They have no standards anymore. Donald Trump is freely allowed to intimidate witnesses, to intimidate judges, to mock prosecutors. He just released a commuted Blago sentence. We all know it's a prelude to commuting or pardoning Roger Stone. We all know it's going to be a transition. It's just setting it up for that. I haven't heard any complaints from Republicans in the state of Illinois. You know, they're more mad at Blagojevich, but they don't dare criticize Donald Trump. So he's free. There's no standards. Any kind of rules that the Democrats have to abide by are out the window when it comes to Republicans. And that also deals with debate tactics. So going back to the rally, here's Donald Trump. He made fun of Bloomberg's response, and then he was bragging about how he not only got away with it, but that the public accepted it. And so as part of his shtick, what he did, he had someone in his press office print up copies of polls that were taken after the debates, and which showed that he was considered the winner of the debate. So he would just have a piece of paper. I got to give him credit. It was actually kind of a good bit. I mean, kind of overdid it. But so you have the piece of paper, and you go, well, I don't have a Trump imitation. Dennis should be doing this bit. He would go, well, this poll, Time Magazine, I can't stand Time Magazine. The crowd cheers. He's just waving the piece of paper in the air, and he goes, Trump, 70%, meaning he won the debate. Jeb Bush, 5%. Huh, see? And then he throws the paper away. He just like throws like that. Here we go. That's how he did it. And then he would do that like
very like Dave Letterman.
Dave Letterman. He took it straight out of Letterman. This is the thing. Trump has been watching comics. You're right. He watched Letterman in the old days. David Letterman would take the cue card and throw it to the window, and then make the sound. Only thing Trump didn't have was the sound. Here's another poll. Trump, winner, 50%. I'm not going to name, then he goes, I'm not going to name the other people because they're my friends now, meaning, they totally suck up to him, like Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz. But back then, they didn't like me. And then he throws the paper away. He did that like 10 times. The crowd's going nuts. And it's unbelievably staged. I remember this from the last time I watched a Trump rally. They always make sure there's a black guy positioned somewhere behind him in the camera. And then, okay, it's a black man, so you know he's black. He's got just to make sure he is a Trump supporter, they make sure he's wearing a MAGA hat. But even then, just to double down, he's got a sign up that says like "Black Man for Trump." Okay, taking nothing for granted. All right. Anyway, make sure that guy's there. He's just putting the sign up there. Trump's throwing the paper around. I'm thinking, almost feel sorry for Michael Bloomberg because no Democrat could get away with that. No Democrat in a million years could have a rally where he just takes pieces of paper, throws them in the air. The crowd is howling, bursting into chants of lock 'em up. And that's acceptable behavior. So, I got to say, it's difficult for Democrats to run when there are no standards on the other side and where the Electoral College map, and that's the thing that decides the election, seems to be tilted in favor of a guy who is free to do whatever he wants, both in terms of what he says and how he behaves, and how he bends and breaks all the rules. It's very difficult these days for a Democrat. It was almost enough to make me feel sorry for Michael Bloomberg. We got a great show today, everybody. You're right. No collusion. Let him go. Rummana Hussain will be here. Rummana's got a lot of things to say about the Blagojevich situation. We talk about Rod Blagojevich with Rummana Hussain. And also Casey Urlacher, Brian Urlacher's brother. We're talking all about that. Candis Castillo, ace political strategist. I think she's for Elizabeth Warren. Am I correct about that, D?
I believe so.
Yeah, she'll be here in the studio. I know she's flying high, feeling really good about Elizabeth Warren these days. Get a little Elizabeth Warren point of view in the studio. And the Heartland Mamas will be here. Heidi Henry and Murray Briel probably on their way right now. Driving in from the boonies. They always get mad at me when I call it the boonies.
And me too.
Okay. Not the boonies. They're driving in from the Heartland.
There you go.
In that cool little Corvette Stingray they got going. Murray Briel behind the wheel. Driving all night. My hands wet on the wheel.
He's in rare form today, guys.
They'll be here really soon. But before we do that, the young man from Alton, the man they call Dr. Doobie, with the news.
Happy Friday, guys. All right, before we find out what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois for the fourth and final time this week, Ben Joravsky, I need you to respond to a listener comment. This comment comes from our good friend and Ben Joravsky Show devotee, Alan. Alan, well, he has a minor beef with you, Ben. We actually read a debate comment from Alan on Thursday, and Ben, he's been a listener since the radio days, and we'd like to keep him downloading, so please, when responding to Alan, be nice. Be nice, okay?
I'm always nice.
All right, on to Alan's comment. Alan writes, or types or posts or whatever. Second day in a row, you call Blagojevich a con artist. By the way, for those who just tuned in, President Donald, or who hasn't been following the news at all this week, President Donald Trump commuted the 14-year sentence of former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. Second day in a row, you call Blagojevich a con artist. Second day in a row, I disagree with that. I think you're wrong that Trump is going to have Blagojevich stump for him this election cycle, something that we've been saying quite a few times here on the program this week. Alan says, I think they both serve their own needs. And I really think you're wrong that somehow Trump is going to use Blagojevich for gaining African-American votes. The real crime that Blagojevich committed was being an adversary of Mike and Lisa Madigan. As much as I love Blagojevich, I'm still with Bernie, Alan says, even though the Democrats are actively trying to screw him over again.
Wow, lots to unpack there in that letter. First of all, D, I'm just going to say I'm capable of having a civil disagreement with somebody.
Well, prove it.
Just Wednesday, Monroe and I had a very civil disagreement over Chris Matthews. Monroe loves him, has a I love Chris Matthews tattoo. And, I think Chris Matthews is a joke. But Monroe's still my friend. He's coming back on Wednesday,
That tattoo, he had a heart and everything. I heart CM.
He loves Chris Matthews, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm perfectly capable of having civil. Maya and I disagree on stuff all the time, man. So she comes on the show every Tuesday. So anyway, I'm perfectly capable of disagreeing with people. So in terms of what Alan has to say, I'm just going to have to say as politely as I can, I completely and totally disagree with you on this particular point. I do believe that Rod Blagojevich is a con man. I do believe that Rod Blagojevich has essentially, as a governor, masqueraded as a progressive. Every now and then he did something remotely progressive, like when he made train rides free for senior citizens. I actually applauded him for that. But by and large, he was indifferent to the duties and responsibilities of being governor and paid no attention to them and didn't deal with any of the issues we faced, didn't take any serious attempt, first of all, to pass a progressive income tax. Would have been the number one thing that a progressive governor could do. In the state of Illinois. We're finally getting around to that. He never made a move, like, for instance, on legalizing reefer. He talks now about criminal justice reform, but at the time, thousands and thousands of people were being locked up unfairly for possessing marijuana. Never once heard Rod Blagojevich speak out on that. Never took the initiative on it. It was, at the time, Democrats were afraid to even raise the issue. So I got to say, I do not believe he was a legitimate progressive, but he was a great talker. He's a very smooth talker, and he's got a great memory. His ability to recite poetry is astounding. I have to give him credit for that. I do believe there's a political deal between Trump and Blagojevich, and an acknowledgement that Blagojevich will become a mouthpiece for Trump. We've seen it on display already at his opening press conference. He was extolling the virtues of Donald Trump from the moment he got out of prison at the airport in Denver, and then later yesterday, as I said, and was it yesterday? I'm losing track of time, D. Was it yesterday or Wednesday? I can't remember. In front of the media and friends of his and neighbors and passerby at his home on the north side of Chicago. He was thanking Donald Trump. He was bashing the Democrats for the incarceration bill, the Clinton incarceration bill of the 1990s. I got to say, that was supported by Republicans. And I also have to say, yes, he's absolutely correct. My beloved Democratic Party always moves to the right out of fear of being called weak on law and order. And part of the impetus of Bill Clinton going to the right and with those unfair incarceration policies of the 1990s was because he wanted to prove to the Republicans that they could not outlaw and order him. So both parties are at fault in this. The Republicans, it goes back to the days of Nixon, for their whole strategy to manipulate fears that people have, particularly white people have about black people, and the Democrats and their cowardice and afraid to stand up to the Republicans. So I believe that I don't recall Rod Blagojevich at any point in his career standing up to the Clinton faction of the Democratic Party on these issues, running as a person who is against these harsh drug laws, the war on drugs. I don't remember him doing any of that. He's doing it now, and he's doing it now to say, oh, Donald Trump is a great hero. So he's working as an agent for Donald Trump.
Well, what do you say about his comment here? The real crime Blagojevich committed was being an adversary of Mike and Lisa Madigan.
I would say this, and I'm saying this as politely as I can, in all due respect to a listener. I love you dearly for listening, but I completely and utterly and totally disagree with you. I mean, the demonization of Michael Madigan is so deep. You talk about a conspiracy theory. Bruce Rauner spent millions and millions of dollars demonizing Michael Joseph Madigan. So just think about this. Michael Madigan right now is under the same scrutiny by the feds, by the same basic federal prosecutors who brought Blagojevich down. Blagojevich and Madigan are part and parcel of the same Democratic Party, the same machine Democratic Party that I've been fighting for 20, 30 years in this town. Madigan is a Southwest Side branch. Blagojevich is a Northwest Side branch. Blagojevich owes his entire career to an alderman and a committeeman, a former alderman and committeeman named Richard Mell, who is his father-in-law. Richard Mell was a very powerful Democratic operative on the northwest side of Chicago who was as every much a part of the Democratic machine as Michael Madigan. The feds have been going after powerful Democrats for as long as I can remember, going back to the days of Jim Thompson when he threw Alderman Tom Keene into prison. Sometimes they made it to the doorway of Richard M. Daley's doorway, and then they backed off. I always wondered about that. Why did they back off on Daley? But they did. So now they're going after Madigan. They want to throw Madigan into prison. So it's the same people that put Rod Blagojevich in prison are the ones who are trying to put Michael Madigan in prison. So, like, to say that Madigan is the reason that Blagojevich was prosecuted is to overlook the fact that the same prosecutors who prosecuted Blagojevich essentially are going after Madigan. So no, I don't believe it. I think that we have a tendency in this state to absolutely blame everything that's wrong with Illinois or Chicago with Michael Madigan. To a large degree, I think that is a result of years and years of brainwashing by the Republican Party, Bruce Rauner. So, hey, Rauner, you succeeded at one thing. Democrats hate Michael Madigan. So I respectfully disagree with Alan. I appreciate the fact that he listens to the show. I hope he continues to listen, even if we disagree. I just want to point out, I don't always agree with all my guests, D. As I point out, did not agree with Monroe last week when this Wednesday when he was extolling the virtues of Chris Matthews.
All right. Well, if you're like Alan and you have a beef with Ben Joravsky, feel free to weigh in. You have a few options. At Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show on Facebook. At Benny J Show on Twitter. And yes, we have an email address, and I check it often. Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, at gmail.com. I always like reading those comments when someone has a little beef with Ben Joravsky. Just watch the language, all right? We're all friends here, aren't we? Okay, moving on to a story involving Illinois corruption in the year 2020. The following comes from the radio station that's way more smarter and professional than this show will ever be. And we'll throw organized and well-rested in there, too. Oh, yeah. WBEZ Chicago. A clout-heavy southwest suburb has received a subpoena from federal investigators seeking documents about powerful Illinois House Speaker and state Democratic Party boss Michael Madigan.
That's correct.
Proving my point. I did not know about this. Go ahead.
According to records obtained by WBEZ, the village of Bridgeview, whose mayor, Ben, for 10 trivia points, what's the name of the mayor of Bridgeview?
Landeck.
Oh, my.
Stephen Landeck.
Nice. I didn't think you would know that. What a dork.
You gotta give me credit, man.
Those are imaginary basketball shots he's making.
That I'm draining. 3-pointers, okay? Someone's covering me. Bam, in your face.
The village of Bridgeview, whose mayor, Steve Landeck, is a Democratic state senator.
I can't believe I knew that.
Yeah,
I'm sad. I'm kind of sad.
We all are.
I knew that.
There's listeners going, what am I listening to?
Wow.
Steve Landeck, a Democratic state senator and longtime Madigan ally, was served with the grand jury subpoena today, Friday, February 21st. The feds are asking for all of Bridgeview's correspondences, including internal emails that involve Madigan and 4 men who have close ties to the speaker. The feds are also demanding that Bridgeview officials turn over, quote, all records related to Raymond Nice, another veteran campaign worker in Madigan's Southwest Side Ward organization. Documents obtained by WBEZ show Bridgeview paid Nice's company $1,000 a month for, quote, business and consulting services. Nice also had a $1,000 a month deal as a special consultant for another southwest suburb. This one sounds really fancy. Marionette Park.
They're going after the Southwest.
It sounds like a place that old producer Dennis cannot afford to live in.
Did young Daniel Mialopoulos write this story?
I'll check and look here. I know I got it from Capital Facts. I'll check that before we roll on here. But Nice also had a $1,000 a month deal as a special consultant for another southwest suburb, Marionette Park, which received a virtually identical federal subpoena to the one Bridgeview got. On the same day, Bridgeview officials were served. The Chicago Sun-Times first reported the subpoena of Marionette Park on Wednesday. Ben Joravsky, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I do not know who the mayor of Marionette Park is. I have to make that confession. Second
shout out to Kyle. He asks you, what high school did the mayor of Bridgeview go to?
Landak. I'll just make something up. He went to Morton East. Everybody knows that. I just made that up. What if I'm correct?
I'm quitting.
But you know, I've spent many years chronicling the misdeeds of Chicago Democrats, but my official position now in the age of Trump, until the Tribune starts chronicling the misdeeds of one Donald John Trump, I'm laying off Democrats. Yes, indeed, folks, I'm putting it out there. They're going, oh, Ben, come on. You got to play the game right. You got to be straight. There's only one set of standards. If somebody does something wrong, you got to condemn it. You're absolutely correct. It should be that way. But then I look at Donald John Trump, and what? He tells his aides, don't abide by congressional subpoenas. Don't turn over documents when the congressman asks for it. Don't show up to testify. He tweets out intimidating comments about judges. So we're supposed to overlook that and be outraged, I tell you, outraged because some politician at some small suburb outside of Chicago may or may not have been taking bribes. I'm like, it's a bizarre thing. We're going to be talking about this with Rummana, when, like the double standards that exist in politics today. Like Donald Trump is allowed to say every misogynist thing that pops to his mind, and people think it's funny, but Democrats have to abide by certain civilities. So it's okay for lawlessness on the part of Republicans, but Democrats are supposed to be outraged and shocked. The Democratic Party as a whole voted to oust Rod Blagojevich, to impeach him. I believe, on second thought, there may have been one vote against impeachment. I think there may have been one vote, but it was overwhelming. Democrats outraged, shocked by Blagojevich. And then it's a Republican who lets him out of jail because it serves his larger purposes, because he's about to do the same for Roger Stone. So it's hard for me to jump on, oh my God, this is an outrage. I'm going to crusade. Let's throw all these Democrats in jail, when there's lawlessness on the part of the Republican Party. That's all I got to say about it. I know Rummana may have a different opinion, but like we pointed out to Alan, we're allowed to disagree and have civil conversations.
All right, and you were right. It is Dan Mialopoulos that.
Danny, come on, that's a Danny story written all over it.
All right, and before we roll out of here, let's go over the public events listed for the governor and the mayor. Looks like we got Lori Lightfoot. She today is at Wendell Phillips Academy High School to announce a citywide call to action to end youth involvement in gun violence.
Excellent.
And no public events listed for J.B. Pritzker. He's had a busy week, though. He gave his budget address on Wednesday. And actually yesterday
he stopped by the Bright One.
Oh, he stopped by the Bright One.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
He stopped by the Bright One, and
he said nothing to you. He said, not hi, not tell him I said hello.
He didn't make it.
Nothing. I walked by him.
He didn't make it down to the washroom?
Didn't make it down to the washroom.
JB, next time you're at the Sun-Times, stop on by. And even if you don't make it to our beloved little room in the back out by the washroom, why don't you stop by the water cooler and enjoy some of that delicious Sun-Times water?
So no public, but he did give a Q&A yesterday. I have a bit of the audio here. Let's go ahead and hear what that is.
We all know what it looks like when we work together.
Oh, no.
The feeling of making.
It's another Bloomberg ad. How did this get in? These ads come out of nowhere.
Contribute
To help.
Okay, well, guess we're not going to hear that.
Yeah, okay, we'll not hear that.
It's another Bloomberg ad. All right, everybody, don't go anywhere. The Ben Joravsky Show will be right back. We are live from the Chicago Sun-Times.
Read the Chicago Reader to get up to speed on what's what in Chicago. Culture, food, arts and entertainment, weekly concert listings, weekly event listings, the environment, travel. I can continue, but you get the point. And for all of you Chicago political junkies, raw weekly columns on real city politics from Maya Dukmasova and our very own Ben Joravsky. The Chicago Reader, free to the public in newsstands throughout the city and online at chicagoreader.com. Read it now and be a more informed Chicagoan.
Did you know that 40% of the people in Illinois opt to be cremated? Well, it's true. And Chicagoland Cremation Options honors their wishes by providing cremation services directly to the general public. Chicagoland Cremation Options provides an affordable, ethical, and easy cremation arrangement, whether in person or online. Save thousands and streamline the process by going directly to Chicagoland Cremation Options. It's a family-owned business operated by my good friend, Douglas Klein. Here's how you reach them. ChicagolandCremationOptions.com. One more time, ChicagolandCremationOptions.com.
It's the butter cow, which has 9 hearts to represent the 9 essential nutrients in milk. That's right, it's made entirely out of butter, and it's a state fair tradition since at least 1922.
Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show, live from the Chicago Sun-Times.
Rummana Hussain in the studio. Rummana Hussain in the studio every Friday. Rummana Rundown. And I know it's a really busy time at the Sun-Times. Rummana, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And she's been fighting a flu. What a valiant effort.
The aftermath of a flu. I'm coughing.
Yeah.
I always cough right in the night before I go to bed.
Yeah, a warrior, Rummana Hussain, hard worker. All right. Got so much to talk about. I was riffing at the start of the show how I watched the Trump rally yesterday, and the rally I watched was the one where, on top of everything else, he suddenly became a film critic and felt compelled to launch into his opinion on Parasite winning the Best Picture award. D, you got that clip? Can we play that one? Do we have that one?
Absolutely, I do here. I got 2 here, so here's the first one. Oh, my, we got to wait for that. Boy, I'm struggling on the audio today, gang. All right, we'll be editing that out on the download.
By the way, how bad were the Academy Awards this year? Did you see it? And the winner is a movie from South Korea. What the hell was that all about? We got enough problems with South Korea with trade. On top of it, they give him the best movie of the year. Was it good? I don't know. The winner is from South Korea. I thought it was best foreign film, right? Best foreign movie. No, it was did this ever happen before?
Donald Trump. We laugh, but obviously,
it's bizarre. And
then he started going off on Brad Pitt too. I don't know if you heard. So he started going off on Brad Pitt because
we got that.
And then you have Brad Pitt. I was never a big fan of his. He got up, said little wise guy statement. Little wise guy.
You know why he said that,
yeah,
right?
Let's tell people.
Yeah, but basically because Brad Pitt, when he won his Oscar for Best Actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he said that he's gotten more time to speak than former National Security Advisor John Bolton did. So that was pretty interesting. Anyway, Donald Trump started bringing up, he's like, why don't we have Gone with the Wind anymore? Like, he wants to make America great again, I guess, by by pointing out to old movies that, was a preset. I never saw Gone with the Wind, which everybody gets mad to me.
No,
about,
you should not apologize for all. Gone with the Wind is a movie that sort of champions the South with slavery. You're supposed to overlook the slavery part of slavery South. And
it's about a socialite, right? And
it chronicles this family that's destroyed by the Civil War and a Southern family. Not a great movie, in my humble opinion. And I'm just speaking.
My husband is telling me that I should watch it. He said that it's an interesting slice of that history. That's what he said.
Well, I
He's
mean,
not saying that
you
it's a
should
good-
probably, Birth of a Nation from that perspective.
I
You should watch all these
I did
movies.
see Birth of a Nation in film class, or at least parts of it. But it was a historical movie because the way they used editing. But it's a horribly racist film.
It's a horribly racist movie. That,
But I just find it fascinating that Donald Trump feels like, it's like he's speaking to a certain part of his base that don't want other people speaking foreign language. And, and I don't know if you saw, but in the articles it said that the American film distributor of the film said, tweeted something that said understandable, basically referring to Trump's comments on Parasite, and said he can't read. So it was understandable he can't read. So they're referring to the subtitles because a lot of people who, I don't know. I've always liked foreign films. I can speak another language, so I can watch Bollywood movies without subtitles. But I've always been when there's a foreign film that's nominated, or I hear about it just by word of mouth, or it gets good reviews, I've always watched them. It's not really work for me to read subtitles. So I just find that fascinating.
Well, and I mean, one step beyond that, as I move on in the years, I pretty much anything I stream, I put the subtitles on because I don't miss dialogue that way.
Sometimes I do that when there's like accents. Like, I'm sure if there's like New York accents, if they're really strong. I've done that with Guy Ritchie movies where they're talking really heavy Cockney accents, and I'm like, what did they just say? So I put subtitles sometimes.
But Rummana, I think what also when I heard that bit and I read the article about Donald Trump, I missed that part of the.
How did you miss
rally.
that? That was like the part that you'd want to see.
I know that's the part that was for me because I love movies.
I know that's what I saw. My sister-in-law sent that to me yesterday. So.
I watched, I would say 20 minutes. I already riffed on it a little bit, but I watched this 20-minute bit where he was ripping Bloomberg, and I kind of actually. I am almost embarrassed to say this. There was it was entertaining, but then it got old and I stopped watching it. But I think obviously when I heard that, clearly he's just feeding the sense that, this is like what he's trying to make America great. This is what's great about America, that it's American movies and not a foreign movie. A forein movie
where
shouldn't
people
be
are
the best
talking
picture.
English. That's what the whole thing is, right? People talking English, people that don't look, people who don't look like what America should look like. That's what I'm thinking. That's what he's trying to appeal to, which is just you hear what he's saying about the film, and it just sounds like a movie. So I can see that being entertaining, like you're laughing, but this is real life. I've never heard of a president discussing the Academy Awards before. At such lengths, I guess I want to say, and telling the audience how he hated it so much, and then he has to go take aim at Brad Pitt.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Well, by the way, Brad Pitt had another great line when he was receiving his award. He was talking about the impeachment, and he said he hoped that Quentin Tarantino makes a movie about impeachment of Donald Trump, and he has an alternative ending. And Tarantino, the last 3 or 4 movies, I'm not going to give anything away, takes historical events and puts his own alternative endings on.
Including Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Won't say anything.
Don't say anything. Inglourious Bastards and Django as well. He doesn't like the way things ended up in reality, so he's going to put his own. But anyway, that was the joke. But the thing is, I was going to say about Parasite, which is just a great flick. It's weird. If you could just imagine Parasite, which is, I know this is going to sound bizarre, as a movie in which everybody spoke English, just what happens in Parasite and how it's filmed and how it's staged.
It's very creative.
I think it would be a huge hit in this country.
Yeah. In fact, I think some of the Trump supporters that were cheering it on may like it too. Yeah, that's the interesting thing about it. I'm not saying that Trump supporters don't watch it, but I'm just saying that it appeals. It's about class and, how the rich get away with a lot of things, and how like the upper class basically has this upper hand, and the poor are just kind of struggling to make ends meet and have to kind of be creative.
Yeah.
If you know, it's just interesting. It's fascinating. But, you know, like the guys on the copy desk asked me my top 10 movies of the year before the Oscars, and I said Parasite. I don't know if I wasn't able to come to the Oscar talk that, you know, you had the Oscar show because I was
a great
sick.
show. Yeah, you were
but
sick.
I Parasite was my favorite film. They said, "Oh, that's your number one film." I'm like, yeah. They go, a couple of guys on the desk thought the same thing. But I was gonna say with the foreign films, I know you like dubbing, don't you?
No, I can't stand.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, she's teasing me. But by the way, Parasite. Everybody said Parasite was the best flick of the year. It's a great movie. Just before we get into the dubbing, but it's suspenseful. It's funny. It's like it's a caper flick. You know, it's.
It kind of goes off the rails.
And then it goes off the rails.
Yeah.
Great off the rails. I know Mick didn't like going off the rails, but I love how it goes off the rails.
I thought it was great when I saw it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I went to go see it, I saw it at the theater at Evanston, and we went to like a 7:30 show, and it was sold out. So that was like a really good sign to me because, you know, very, very, you know, there's very few times where I go to a sold out movie. It's usually a superhero movie I'm being dragged to if it's sold out. But I just thought it was very creative. I just think it's like, again, I think it's fascinating that Donald Trump has to bring it up, and we obviously know why he did.
Absolutely,
because it's foreign, quote unquote foreign, not American.
And it's.
I bet if it was French, he'd think differently.
Well, I mean, when you say foreign, I don't know. Remember, it was that backlash against the French. People weren't going to eat the freedom fries.
I don't know. You know, a lot of us folks who speak another language, we find it fascinating that a lot of people who get mad at people speaking different languages, they always talk about, you know, they don't care if someone's talking French. That doesn't bother them. Because that's like, you know, they don't care. They're like, oh, that's a beautiful language. Oh, yeah, I love French. You know, but if somebody's talking, say, Urdu or Arabic or Spanish, you know, people are like, go back to your own country. I'm just saying, you know, I'm telling you.
I have a confession to make. Confession time.
You like French? That's mine.
No, that's not the confession I want to make. It's even worse than that. I shouldn't even make this
Yeah, go
confession,
ahead.
but I'm so bad at other languages, and I'm so envious of people like you who can speak more than one. I'm incapable of distinguishing between foreign languages.
Oh, okay.
One time, so I couldn't tell you French is prettier sounding than Spanish because I can't really tell the difference. And one time, my good friend El Dragon, he's laughing right now if he's listening. My friend El Dragon, Adolfo, I go, oh man, you got to hear this. This is this Bob Dylan song. I love Dylan. In Spanish, you got to hear it,
and
man.
It wasn't Spanish.
It was Japanese.
Oh my God. That's pretty interesting. I would have been able.
Hey man, I'm not hiding anything. I bring it out there.
If you grew up speaking another language, that's totally understandable. It's really funny because Urdu, the language that my parents spoke and I can speak, it's supposed to be a very poetic language. But the way my family speaks it, people said we sound like we're arguing all the time because we talk very loud and we talk really fast. So
no, that's like me in the Sun-Times newsroom. Talking too loud.
Apparently, we don't make it sound poetic, but it's a very poetic language. We kind of, I guess my family kind of kills it. But no, I'm really good at foreign languages. Usually, I can tell.
Well, I couldn't tell. The funny thing about it, my dear friend, I know the difference between Japanese and Spanish. It's a really embarrassing moment in my life. But the part that really killed me is my good friend Devin was there, and when Adolfo pointed out that I was doing it wrong, he's like, "Oh God, Ben." I'm like, "Oh, like you knew." You know, it's like when other people act like, "Oh, Mister, you know, I speak 20 languages." Anyway, it was a funny scene. I wrote about it. I acknowledged about it. Adolfo loves telling that story. It's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny.
Yeah. So anyway, so I can't say. It's pretty clear that what he's doing is playing into this notion that once again, there's a faction of America that's trying to drag America down, but he's making America great again.
Yeah.
And this is all a part of his pitch and appeal. And he does this while he is just giving two middle fingers high to just the law enforcement community. And let's just get to Balago. I'd love to get your thoughts on Balago. Again, I always say this, Rummana covered the criminal justice system for many years. And one of the things Balago was talking about when he was released on Wednesday when he had the press conference was how he was a political prisoner.
Yeah.
And his case is similar to all the other people, black people who are unfairly...
And brown people. And he said that
people.
Donald Trump is working to fix the racist criminal justice system. That was quite interesting. I actually saw that whole news conference. I don't know if you did.
I did not see the whole news conference, but I've seen.
You know,
bits
one of
and
my
pieces.
one of my first assignments when I was at City News Bureau was to cover a news conference with it was a news conference that Rod Blagojevich was at. That's good that I mispronounced it right now, because you were talking about how I didn't know how to pronounce his name. So I go to this news conference and I called my editor, who's my friend now. I was scared. I was like totally scared. I was like, how do I say this guy's name? And she goes, who was there? I had to call in afterwards, and I was like, Rod blah blah blah. And she goes, you mean Blagojevich? And I'm like, Blaggy. I couldn't pronounce it, but it, obviously flash forward a few years later, I can pronounce it totally well. And I was in India when he got indicted, by the way. I was in my dad's village, and me and my sister were sitting in the dark because the electricity kind of went out, and we're just sitting there, and we didn't know that I think we knew there was cell phone towers, but I didn't think I got a signal, and my cell phone was on. And a friend of ours texted us and said Rod Blagojevich got indicted. And we're like, so it's funny. My sister was just telling me, she goes, remember we're sitting in the dark in Banoli, which is my dad's village? And I'm like, were we? And then I vividly remember us getting the text message, and we're just kind of, we're like, oh, and we came back. But the Rod Blagojevich case, he was tried twice, right? Because one of the first time, there wasn't there was like some sort of legal technicality, or I forgot what it was.
I forget what the term is when you they couldn't get the jury to convict. It was a holdout juror.
God, why am I forgetting it? I'm forgetting the term.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
they couldn't
get a jury to convict.
Natasha Karecki,
jury?
Yeah. Natasha Karecki then was the federal courts reporter. So every time she was covering that, I got sent over there to cover like the two other major cases that I think it was one time it was the John Burge case, I think. And the other time it was the India terrorism trial, I think. But I remember I got sent over there whenever Blagojevich was up. But it's a very fascinating case, as I'm using the word fascinating a lot. But Blagojevich came out on Wednesday. I don't know if you saw, he cut his chin shaving.
Yes, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
My whole thing was, why didn't you just put a Band-Aid on it so you didn't have to keep dabbing it the whole time? Patty kept telling him, oh, wipe her chin. That was it was a very bizarre news conference. I had it on. So like the newsroom was obviously going like on Tuesday when we hear about this. Like I was actually sitting, like minding my own business. And then one of the reporters, Mitch Armentrout, comes up to me and he goes, ABC News National is saying that Donald Trump is going to commute Rod Blagojevich's sentence. So I was like, and then I went to talk to my bosses, the higher ups, and the ball just... just kept
it's a big
rolling. So, we get sending one person to Rod Blagojevich's house, and he got home like a little after midnight on Tuesday, technically Wednesday. But the reporters were telling me that it was just like loud. There was like all his supporters who came out, and one guy was like yelling at 3 a.m. 2 a.m. because he told me he got home at 3 a.m. So we had one photographer who wasn't supposed to work that day, but she lives like 10 minutes away from Blagojevich's house. And she said, and so she had to go out there at midnight. We were talking about it today. So everybody's scrambling. We had two reporters there on Wednesday, there to get color, one person to do the story, and then, of course we have all our political reporters like trying to get reaction from Lori Lightfoot. Lori Lightfoot spoke to Fran Spielman, our City Hall reporter. So yeah, it's been, kind of a busy news.
Yeah, it was a very slow news day on Tuesday.
Then all of a sudden,
everybody was frantic. It was nuts.
Well, it's funny because I sat in the press box many years ago at a Cub game, and
that's fun.
But
why were you there?
Well, it's a different existence of mine. I was actually.
There's a opening for a Cubs reporter at the Sun-Times.
Do not want it. Can't stand the Cubs. If given the job, I would not take it.
I told Mick, I was like, why don't you?
Mick, I could see Mick.
Or
Mick
if given the job and taken it, you'd be fired the first day.
Oh my God! It's like, are you kidding me? This is anyway. But I remember the reporters were really irritated. The pitcher was having a no-hitter like in the fifth inning, and they were complaining because there was going to be extra work. They were like rooting against the no-hitter, and they were so jaded. What a jaded bunch, sports writers. That's a whole other story. They're like so cynical and jaded. They got like little flasks of liquor, and they don't really, but it's kind of like they do that. But I had a feeling it's sort of like reporters on a daily newspaper have the same attitude. Oh God, no! You got to be kidding, man! I was going to go to a movie tonight.
That happens. That happens to everybody, not just sports writers. Sometimes you're sitting there and you're like, please don't. Like if when I was at the criminal courthouse, you're like, it was like 4:45 and they're supposed to come down with some indictment or like, somebody's supposed to be charged. You're like, please don't happen before happen after I leave work, So sometimes if you have plans.
Yeah. No, I remember Rahm Emanuel. When it was, what was it?
The City Hall dump.
Yeah, the City Hall dump, man. That guy was like, I think it was Thanksgiving. He goes, oh, you want all my emails? I'll give you all my emails. Guy was such a jerk. And I'm cleaning up my language. Dee doesn't like me to swear.
Thank you.
But there's a lot of other words that were, he's like, because your husband, Mick Dumke, was one of the reporters that had to go through all the emails.
Yeah.
And it was like, he did that on purpose. Rahm's so passive aggressive. He just, you want my emails? All
but
right.
I don't think it's just him. I think all these city officials or public officials do that. They're like, you want everything? We'll give you. So it's like we always expect that before the holidays.
Yeah.
If there was some big news story that happened within the year.
By the way, I gotta give it. I said it yesterday. I'm gonna give it again. A shout out to Mark Brown. His column yesterday about the Blago circus. He went.
Oh, what did he say? I have to read it. Yeah, I know what he probably said. He said, he's like, great, you got out, but leave us alone.
No,
or did he
said that? It was his original column. Okay,
yeah.
His original column was your classic Chicago journalist column, which I was talking about. We were all supposed to be absolutely against corruption. All right, we're all against corruption, right? And so it's like, the official attitude is that Blagojevich is corrupt. We don't even want to hear from him. But then the reality is, it's the biggest news event of all time.
Of course,
it's they got helicopters over his house. Mm-hmm. Everybody's rushing to there, and he made the point. It was a very good point that for all our talking about how we're sick and tired of Blagojevich and we can't condone what he did and we're disgusted by him, here we are flocking to the Blagojevich show, and he ended up his column by apologizing on behalf of the news media because we're such hypocrites. And I just thought, man, this is a great column. And
Mark Brown is a great writer.
Really good job, Mark Brown. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. All right. The other big event that happened this week was the Democratic debate. And
I thought you were going to say Casey Urlacher. But
we'll get to Casey Urlacher. You can explain Casey Urlacher to me, but I just got to get your thoughts on
Bloomberg. Yes,
Bloomberg just took a punch from Elizabeth Warren, did a terrible job. We're going to be talking about Candis, Castillo, and the Heartland Mamas are coming in, but I've never seen such a bad performance.
But this was his first debate for this round, correct?
That is correct.
So he wasn't prepared.
I'm giving him an excuse?
No. I'm just saying he wasn't prepared at all.
He had 3 months to prepare.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like I guess he thinks like, I don't know, this is the psychology I'm thinking. Like the money is going to take care of everything. And he really doesn't have to prepare. That's what the psychology I'm thinking. Because I told you I was out that day. So I wasn't I was getting texts and people are like, oh, wow, Elizabeth Warren's really knocking him out and going after Bloomberg. And I've seen memes of like Godzilla. She was like Godzilla and everybody else is like on fire, So I heard she did a really good job. Like she was the winner of the debates and that Bloomberg was just terrible.
Bloomberg was so terrible. That to me.
How would you describe him?
Pathetic.
Yeah.
Mike Bloomberg stood there on the stage. And okay, so the joke is that Donald Trump has been going mini Mike all the time. And so like he's diminutive. Mm-hmm. And so here's Mike Bloomberg standing on the stage. They're pounding him, and he's just standing there he's not defending himself. Mm-hmm. He's not explaining himself. He's not. I mean, you cannot defend the comments that have been attributed to him. So he should be prepared to deal with it some way. Make a real, legitimate apology. Talk about where he was in the context of his life. I don't know.
These are the sexual harassment claims, or was it?
It was the comment. The wit and wisdom. I urge everybody, if you want to take the deep dive, we did a whole. Dennis and I did a whole bit on this. The wit and wisdom of Michael Bloomberg. I wrote a column about it. In other words, there was in 1990.
I think I read your column, by the way. So I do read your material.
But just for folks who may have missed it, in 1990, there was a gag gift given to Michael Bloomberg on the occasion of his 48th birthday by an employee of Bloomberg Company. And what it did was put all his wit and wisdom, and these are quotes that he would freely talk about, and they were... I mean, there's a pretty bad range of these quotes that just are all nasty about women. Yeah. And they were all laughing about, this is funny. That's our guy. That's our leader.
Were women there? That's my question.
The person who compiled it is a woman. The person at Bloomberg And it's sort of like the worldview of the Bloomberg Corporation. They all buy into it. He's rich, so he must
or they
be
think
a genius.
they have to all laugh at it. I don't know. I just feel like in this day and age, and it wasn't that long ago. He's like in his 60s, maybe.
He's in his 70s.
70s?
Yeah, he's 78. I think. He may
really?
be
So 48 isn't that long ago.
in 1990.
Yeah, things like this. Obviously, a lot of people have not learned, and these kind of comments get thrown around still to this day. But it's how could you be a woman and pass it on and think it's all funny? I guess when it's your boss, you have to like giggle and laugh and.
Well, this is one step beyond giggling and laugh.
I know.
She put it in a booklet and gave it to him and then talked about how much she loves him.
He wasn't like 25 or anything. He was like a 48-year-old man.
Yeah. So anyway, he just looked. He was totally clueless. He took the pounding. I'm really curious. Tuesday's the next debate.
What was he saying? Like, what was his response?
Well, he didn't really have a response. The way that it's interesting you say that because the opening when she pulverizes him with this opening round. Instead of immediately going to Bloomberg, the debate people went to other people in the state. I'm like, but when they eventually,
you should have been moderating the debates.
Mike, what are you gonna? All right, because she went on. She went on a riff. She didn't just rip him. She ripped Buttigieg. She said that Buttigieg's healthcare plan is not a real plan; it's a talking point. Mm-hmm. And then she ripped Klobuchar. She said her healthcare plan is like what does she call it? A Post-it? What's that little thing called? And so then see, here's the other thing. You just said Bloomberg wasn't ready for the debate. He's a rookie. He sat it out. He thinks he's going to buy the election, buy the party, so he doesn't go to debates. The others have been. Klobuchar and Buttigieg have been on that stage every single debate going back to the summer. So they know you got to get your message.
Yeah.
They got their hands in there waving.
So that's what I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking his strategy is, like just money. Throw money at it.
Yeah.
Because that is a solution for a lot of people.
Well, that was my whole thing. Like, we just played that Donald Trump clip. You know what I mean? Like, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yes.
What was the Donald Trump clip? You mean the Rosie O'Donnell one?
Rosie O'Donnell one, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the one. That's the contrast. When Donald Trump was hit with a similar question by Megyn Kelly at a debate, he made a joke at Rosie O'Donnell's expense. She said, Megyn Kelly went down the list of all the awful things he said about women. He goes, just Rosie O'Donnell. And the crowd is roaring and cheering. And
that's like Bloomberg's 48th birthday party.
That is exactly. But that is acceptable behavior in a Republican primary. It's an unacceptable behavior. So it's like Mike Bloomberg is trying to get Rummana Hussain's vote. Okay, so if Mike Bloomberg had responded to the question by saying, "Come on, it's just a joke," would you have ever voted for him in a million years?
I can't comment on that as a reporter.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure you can.
And I got to say, one of the best things about Bloomberg in the debate is just the look on his face when they're ripping into him. Just, well, I've never. It's really good. Like, when you smell something funny, like that's just the look he has on his face.
Like the smell in the sometimes.
Okay, don't bring that up.
Anyway, were you here for that?
Was it burnt popcorn?
I don't know what it was. Anyway,
more than burnt popcorn.
I think I heard people talking about it yesterday. Like, I got out of the bathroom and then people are like, they're like complaining about some smell.
Sometimes
and I was
humor. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to that.
Probably a dead body. No, I'm just kidding.
Michael Bloomberg, I'm going to give you some advice. Prepare for the next debate. The next debate is huge. I think it's Tuesday. It's your opportunity to show the world, hey, it was a rough start.
And you saw Bernie and Bloomberg are leading the polls.
Let's talk about God. I saw that.
That didn't hurt him too much.
Well, first of all,
the poll was before that. Okay.
But it gets to your larger point that you're making. It's all about money. And so many centrist Democrats have told me they're going with Bloomberg because he's got the money.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if he just looks at the camera and goes, blah, 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 blah. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. It doesn't matter. He's got the money, Ben. You got to go with the guy with the money. So that's interesting. Anyway, I explained Casey Urlacher. I found this a very confusing story.
It probably is because, we got the indictment yesterday, but this is like a 9-person illegal $1 million gambling ring. And Casey Urlacher was part of this. For those of you who don't follow football, Casey Urlacher is former Bears star Brian Urlacher's brother. He also played football too. I believe, like in like the AAA version of football.
Yeah, doing really well.
I don't know.
By the way, Rummana Hussain will be covering the Bears next year.
Nice.
Her knowledge of football is really impressive.
Anyway, I told you I only know Brian
By the way, I
Urlacher.
believe his correct pronunciation is Lecker.
Is it?
Yes, like a middle linebacker.
Urlacher?
Yeah,
Urlacher?
I've been corrected on it a bit. It's not Urlacher.
Really? Because all the guys in the newsroom who love the Bears call him Urlacher.
Isn't it? What's
Dave
middle
Newberg-
line?
I say Urlacher.
I say it too, but I've been
Urlacher?
correct. I go. It's middle linebacker. So would you say it rhymes with Becker? So Lecker. Anyway, whatever. Casey Urlacher. But you can call him Urlacher.
Lacker.
Yeah.
I covered his custody hearing case.
Brian's custody hearing.
Yeah, sorry, Brian's custody hearing case in 2006 and 2007. So it was a while ago. I was just reading. I printed out. He was a linebacker. So I probably Googled. I don't know if
Your
it was
knowledge
Google
of football
that.
is astounding.
So I just. So I remember like bits and pieces about Brian Urlacher.
Now you got a mental block.
Now we're at Laker.
So anyway, Casey Urlacher. I'm going to call him Urlacher.
Call him
But
whatever
anyway,
you want to call him.
It's a story because Casey Urlacher is affiliated with Brian Urlacher. So he's part of this 9-person illegal gambling ring. We did reach out to him yesterday in our story. He's not the ringleader. There was a ringleader, and we listed all the different things that the ringleader was charged with. I'm assuming that we didn't have, like just the story was so long, it didn't go into specifics, but he was just part of this allegedly part of this illegal gambling ring. He said that Casey Urlacher said that he did not know anything about it, according
It was
to
hilarious
when
quote.
our reporters contacted him. So
let's get that quote. I just got to get to that quote, Rummana. You cover criminal justice building, the courthouse.
This was a federal courthouse, but
federal courthouse. But you've had to go before defendants. People have been accused of things. Urlacher, this is what he said. I don't know nothing about it. I don't know who you're talking about. I mean, I love
don't
it.
know nothing about it. It's kind of very Chicago. Although I was asking the boys yesterday, the guys in the newsroom. I'm like, are they from Chicago?
Did they know where it was from?
Yeah, they did. I don't want to say Oklahoma, but
no,
some other state.
I'm going to say this. Sometimes your guys on the desk, you're letting Rummana down.
They did tell me. They did say where he was
He's from New Mexico.
Yeah. They did say that.
I think they told you Oklahoma.
No. I'm just saying Oklahoma. You know why? Because Mick's reading a book about Oklahoma right now. This raid of Native Americans, like, some huge raid that happened in Oklahoma. So maybe that's why I'm saying
you're getting your states west of Illinois mixed up.
Yeah, I always do that. I'm very in the bubble.
Who's the Sun-Times editor that loves the Bears?
Dave Newbart.
Oh,
He's
God.
a season ticket holder.
He loves the Bears.
Yeah, he
Rummana.
went on a Bears cruise, I think.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
That's
major. That's major.
I believe he did.
You're kidding me.
No.
What's a Bears cruise?
I guess, it's like cruises that you go on and there's like people, who used to play for the Bears or like currently play for the Bears and you just hang out with them. It's like they have a Cubs cruise too. And they do that with a lot of 80s music bands too. Like they have a cruise of like 80s.
You're kidding
Yeah,
me.
no, they have these cruises where you can hang out with people from like all these
like
one-hit
Journey?
wonders. I don't know if Journey has ever been on them, but I have XM radio and I have the 80s channel, and once in a while they'll talk about their cruises and they'll talk about these random bands, and they're usually not like Duran. It's not like Duran, but it's usually like someone like Katrina and the Waves or something. I'll double check with him. Dave's out of town right now, but when he
Dave.
comes back, I'll ask
he was
him.
not one of the guys who told you.
Are we talking about music post 1979? Ben's clueless. He knows nothing.
Candis Castillo has entered the studio. We're going to bring her on really soon. Anyway, now here's my question to you, and I'll just ask you this question.
Sure.
So, this is not to me the most important story in the world. It's on the front page of both newspapers. Huge headline in my beloved Bright One, which one more time, got to give the Sun-Times headline writer credit. Casey at the bet. Get it? Casey at the bet.
We were talking about that yesterday, and someone's like, "Will our readers even know what that means?" And I said,
Probably not.
I said, I know what it means, and I said, our newspaper readers will know what it means.
I don't know, but whatever. It doesn't matter. I thought it was pretty clever. But my point is like,
what does that mean?
Casey at the bat. There's a poem. Casey at the bat. I was going to recite the poem, but I just blanked on it, so I can't recite the poem. But
I was
anyway.
going to say, is that the Who's on First thing, but no,
No.
that's totally different. But
Oh
I know
my God,
I've heard
no. Hussain first is this is like baby boomer stuff. You guys are going, wow, I'm suddenly knowledgeable. Okay, you threw in Katrina and the Waves. I'm like, who are they? But I could tell you,
they were like a
Abbott and
one-hit wonder.
Costello. You guys, either one of you ever heard of Abbott
I
and
know.
Costello?
No, I know who Abbott.
One
and
of the
Costello.
great Abbott and Costello.
No,
Meet
I
the
know
Creature
that
from the
was
Black
their-
Lagoon, one of the greatest movies ever made. Candis Castillo knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She's like, man, I never saw that movie. I was just saying, I thought it was, not that I'm feeling really weeping over Casey, but I mean, the guy, it's like, the only reason he's on the front page of the Sun
he's
Times.
the brother of Brian Urlacher.
And by the way, Brian Urlacher didn't do anything. It's
We know.
Brian Urlacher's brother. Oh, that's why the story matters. I don't know. Could you imagine me in a...
Wait, but you're right. Remember that gymnast? She was the gymnast on the last Olympics, Summer Olympics, when her brother was accused of murder recently. It's a sister of, and people were people were calling a lot of headline writers out for that.
Simone Biles?
Or Simone Biles, yeah.
I did not know that. I missed
people
that
were talking
story.
about, they had pictures of Simone Biles like in these tweets, and they're like, she didn't do anything.
Brian Urlacher didn't
We don't
do
know,
anything.
and right now at this point, they're allegations.
Right,
too.
and by the way, we don't, Kate, we don't know if Casey did or what he did, but Brian Urlacher was guilty of absolutely nothing other than being the brother of a guy who may or may not have done something wrong.
And then he looks like him too.
Oh, it's good thing you got that new hairdo.
Well, Brian has hair plugs.
Yeah, I was going to say, good thing.
Because there's billboards all over the place.
I've
it's
seen
called
them.
Hair Locker. I've seen one that says Hair
All right,
Locker yesterday.
before we let you go,
Recommendations?
back to your busy day and bring Candis on, your recommendation for the weekend.
So I started watching the Malcolm X Netflix documentary series. It's great. It's great. I read Malcolm X when I was 17 years old, and
the autobiography.
the
of Malcolm X.
autobiography of Malcolm X. I grew up in a Muslim family, and a friend of mine's like, "Oh, you got to read this." And I never heard of Malcolm X in my life because I feel like he was never really talked about in history classes. Although one of my teachers, the reason I found out about this guy was a little older than me. He went to my high school, and he told me that I'd really like this book, and he's like, "You got to take this class because this guy talks about all this stuff that we don't talk about in other classes." So I thought Malcolm X was amazing. I remember then I read the book like 2 or 3 times. And I remember taking to India with me one time, and I was reading it, and my cousins were like, "What's this?" And it was when Spike Lee came out with the movie, they're like, "Who's Spike Lee?" Like they were reading because it was after the movie was made and like the book came out again. It was a reprint. But anyway,
book has never been out of print.
I guess it was just like a recent cover, and it's now made into a movie by Spike Lee.
They put
That's what I meant.
They put Denzel on the cover.
Yeah, It wasn't Denzel, but anyway, it was. I mean, he wasn't on the cover of the book. It was Malcolm X. But anyway, the movie is fascinating. And I don't know if you heard, but they're thinking about, or they have reopened the case because there is this man who's kind of dedicated his life into finding out who exactly killed Malcolm X. And there were 3 men who were charged, but the question is there could have been more people involved and whether 2 of these guys actually pulled the trigger. One guy said he did, but there's 2 people who he said that they were innocent and nobody really listened to him. And so I'm only on part 2, but it's just really fascinating. I think you'd like it.
We'll have to have a whole show on this. This is one of my obsessions. I'm going to withstand the temptation to launch into my whole thing on the Malcolm X. I've spent hour. It's funny, I always complain.
I'm surprised you hadn't heard about this.
Well, the documentary.
I have to keep you hip.
Yeah, you have to keep me hip to Netflix documentaries. But I've spent hours reading about the Malcolm X assassination, and it's sort of like my obsession with Jimmy Hoffa. I don't have really anybody to talk about it with, so I kind of...
You can talk to me about Malcolm X.
I'll talk to you about Malcolm X. Usually I just talk to my wife, and I just say, you don't have to respond. You don't even have to really listen. Just every now and then nod your head.
Oh, I should tell it to my husband.
Yeah, because I'm...
Well, speaking of nodding her head, our next guest has been doing it the entire time.
We're going to ask Candis what she thinks about Malcolm X, but I can go on, and I will withhold. I'm just going to say...
yeah, but I recommend it to you, too, as well as listeners.
The documentary,
yes.
All right, Rummana Hussain every Friday on this show. It's the Rummana Rundown, and I appreciate her stepping in today because she's really busy. We're going to take a break and bring on Candis Castillo, talk Elizabeth Warren, Bloomberg, Malcolm X, whatever else comes up. We'll be right back.
He sees wrong and he tries to right it, just like he did in the case of Alice Marie Johnson. You know who she is? The grandmother from Alabama who served 21 years in prison on a life sentence as a first-time nonviolent drug offender. A life sentence as a first-time nonviolent drug offender.
The first step, let a lot of them come home.
Alice Marie Johnson's case is probably one of the better illustrations that shows how the federal criminal justice system disproportionately discriminates against African Americans and people of color, and how the 1994 crime bill has led to the over-sentencing and to the creation of what the author Michelle Alexander has called the new Jim Crow in America.
That's right.
You know what I'm talking about?
That's right. Dump the Clintons.
Eroding beaches on Chicago's lakefront, warmer winters in the upper Midwest, microplastics in our water. What can any one person do? Our best hope for saving the planet and ourselves is through the power of we. Get to the 9th annual One Earth Film Festival, the Midwest's premier environmental film festival, March 6th through the 15th. 26 films, 48 events, 4 counties. Engage with filmmakers and experts. Venues include Tesla Gold Coast, Loyola University, Plant Chicago, Old St. Patrick's Church, Chicago Cultural Center, Lake Theater in Oak Park, and more. Go to oneearthfilmfest.org. That's oneearthfilmfest.org.
Wait, what is it again?
One more time. It's oneearthfilmfest.org. Hey, everybody, what you're about to hear are the piano stylings of Jeff Manuel. Man, listen to Jeff go. Jeff Manuel has been playing piano around Chicago for years. He's played for conventions, for celebrities, played in basement bars with blues bands. He's played at prestigious social clubs, fine restaurants, and in the intimacy of private homes. Book Jeff Manuel at jeffemanuelpianist.com. Don't worry, I'll spell his name at the end of this commercial. You know what Chicago Magazine said? They said that Jeff Manuel is, quote, as comfortable with Chopin as he is with Cole Porter. He's excellent and his performance is joyous. He offers an elegant stream of compositions and interpretations that entertains the mind but won't hurt the ears. To hear more of Jeff Manuel's work and to book Jeff for your next event, go to jeffmanuelpianist.com. I'm going to spell it out for you, people. Jeff, M as in Mary, A, N as in Nancy, UELPIANIST.com. Take it away, Jeff Manuel.
Hey, and remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows and Vinny J bonus interviews at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcasts. Downloaders, we live stream this program Tuesdays through Fridays, 1 until 3 p.m. Central Time at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and the Chicago Sun-Times YouTube channel. And if you join that Sun-Times YouTube channel, you can join the live stream chat. Oh, it's a crazy time. Go join it. Hang with Brianna. Hang with Steven, Jay Marie, and the rest. It's the Ben Joravsky Show. And hour number 2 of your Ben Joravsky Show for Friday, February 21st is just moments away. But before we get into that, we got to thank the following unions for jumping on board and sponsoring this program. Unions like the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Local 126 and District 8, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9, the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150 are sponsors, as well as the Chicago Federation of Labor. Hour number 2. Let's do it. It is Friday, February 21st, and live from the Chicago Sun-Times Chicago Reader Studio on Racine Avenue, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. In this hour of the program, our good friend and political strategist Candis Castillo is back, And the Heartland Mamas make their return. Heidi Henry and Murray Briel. And now your host, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
I'm an honorary Heartland Mama, okay? They gave me like an honorary badge, Candis Castillo. I'm an honorary Heartland Mama. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. You're a mama.
I'm a mama. Oh my God, I heard AOC. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but I heard AOC on The View. Did you hear this one? Where she was going at it with Whoopi Goldberg. And I think it may have been yesterday. I don't know. I just know I saw it this morning when I was lying in bed getting ready for the show, and by watching The View. So Whoopi Goldberg was challenging AOC, saying that, you put us down, my generation, meaning Whoopi Goldberg's generation, which just happens to be my generation. You put us down, but you're standing on our shoulders. That's what she said. We are the ones that did all the hard work, and now you're standing on our shoulders, and you show us a little more respect. And AOC came right back at her, and she said, she goes, "No, I truly nothing but mad respect for all of you, and I appreciate everything you've done." And she goes, "Nancy Pelosi is my mama bear." That's what she said, my mama bear.
I would have to agree with AOC to a certain extent, because you all were just talking about this new documentary on Malcolm X, and today was the day he was assassinated 50 years ago, 65.
1965,
Yep.
February.
So February 21st, today. But we talk about, you should talk to your elders and see what the elders say and what they think. But at the same token, Malcolm X nor Martin Luther King made it to 40. Fred Hampton didn't see 21. Huey P. Newton started a revolution at 21 years old, and everyone is saying, you should go talk to your elders. They sure as hell didn't. Or they did, and it was the elders that led them astray. It wasn't when Martin started saying to himself, I don't think this is it, is when he did the Poor People's Campaign. It wasn't until Malcolm said, Elijah Muhammad isn't everything I thought he was, and started doing his own thing, is when he was at his greatest. So yes, I'm under 40, and yeah, I get younger people coming to talk to me all the time, which is weird. But I always say sometimes the revolution lives with the young and not with the 45 plus.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the thing, I hear you, and I'm much more critical of my generation, the baby boomer generation, than I am of the millennials, because I feel the baby boomers, they're pathetic, and just as a collective group, just look at who they've elected, and look at their worldview, and and I say this as a guy who loves baby boomer culture. I stopped, the joke they always make about me, Candis, is I stopped listening to popular music after 1979. So I understand I'm easy to make fun of in terms of that stuff, but when it comes to politics, baby boomer generation is a joke. But Bernie, who's pre-baby boomer, the reason he's so popular with millennials is that he's been consistent and straight on where he's at and where he's coming from the get-go.
Are baby boomers, the elected baby boomers, a joke? Or did they get elected and became corruptible or became a joke? Because I think some of the boomers in Chicago that have been elected, what they were elected on 20, 30, 40 years ago in some cases, isn't what they stand for now. Once you get in office, it's easy for other influences to come in versus you got elected to fight for the people, and then you learn how it worked. And then your second election, you fought for the people a little less. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. That's why new blood is necessary. And you're absolutely right about Bernie. And we can be right about people who are late to the party and recognize they were late to the party, like Street Fighter Warren.
Yes. Now, I'm okay. Let's get to Elizabeth Warren, because I've had this argument with many of my Bernie friends. Got tons of them. And they'll say, Ben, she's a Republican. And I don't buy into that. In other words, Elizabeth Warren, when she emerged from teenage years, she followed the path of her family. She was a Republican. And at some point, I think it was in the 90s, she officially came to the conclusion that this is a mistake. And I respect her for that, Candis. I respect her for saying, you know what? Everything I've been thinking and what I've been led to believe, I've come to the conclusion, having lived life, that is wrong.
Most of us just go, just like in the Black community, we go to our family church. We also go to our family political party. And guess what? Unless we take the time to educate ourselves about what else is out there, most of us do what our mother and fathers do. How many of us have sat around the kitchen table, except for in the Latino community, that's a little different, and I'll tell you why, sat around the kitchen table and said, who you voting for? Who you voting for? Oh, okay, why should I vote for them? Great, that's who I'll vote for. Latino community is a little different because the person that is probably at that table the most with that conversation is the youngest person at that table, stands the child, and it's been proven in polling. But we go the way our parents go or our grandparents go. But Street Fighter Warren, I don't care. I don't care if you're a Bernie person. I don't care if you're a Buttigieg person. I don't care if you from the Yang Gang and you looking for a home. The way she handled Michael Bloomberg on that stage from moment one was amazing. She did not, every Warren supporter I knew was standing up in their chairs. And every Bernie supporter I knew in that moment was like, get him.
I texted you right from the, I can remember, like, yeah.
And the other person I was texting with you is somebody that works for the Bernie campaign that was like, yes, get him. It was amazing. The takedowns that she did. She cut this billionaire to $1 Happy Meal.
Yeah.
And his face showed it all. His face showed it all. And then when he tries to go after Bernie and say communism, even she was like, that's a low blow.
Yeah. Well, Bernie said that's a low blow. Oh, that's a low blow.
She said it too under her breath with the hand up because all of them had their hands up all night. It was amazing.
Yeah. By the way, that's something I just got finished saying. The part of the light I had, Michael Bloomberg just said, you know what, he decided late in the game, I'm going to get in a race. This Devil Patrick at the same time, roughly the same time, is going to get in a race. The big difference is that one man's worth $60 billion and the other guy's not. And so he's bought his way into the race with just pouring in the money. We're going to talk a little about this more with Heidi Henry. And saturates the airwaves. Now he's number 2, according to my beloved Bright One, in the state of Illinois. Candis, number 2.
So, Deval Patrick, let me say that. Shout out to a kid born in the 20th Ward, right? Deval Patrick got into the race late because his wife was battling cancer, and they wanted to know how that was going to turn out. So they took a chance of getting into the race late. And you know what? That makes sense. Bloomberg got into the race late because he was nervous about Warren or Bernie. That's why he got in, for no other reason. And now he's saying, let me buy my way in. I posted something on Facebook, and I truly meant it the other day of, I am being stalked by Michael Bloomberg. I turn on the radio, it's a Michael Bloomberg commercial. I turn on the TV, it's a Michael Bloomberg commercial. I get a text message, it's a message from a Michael Bloomberg person. I watch YouTube with my kid. The pre-roll is Mike Bloomberg.
That happened to me earlier. I was trying to play a Pritzker clip. Bloomberg.
Exactly.
Bastard.
Exactly. Look, I mean, I knew all the Pritzker stuff because of the pre-rolls or YouTube too, which is why my kid, who is also a political strategist in his own right.
The Michael Jackson kid?
Oh, yeah.
He's a political strategist?
Watching the debate, he came in my room and said, yeah, I'm going for the black guy. I said, he's out the race. He's like, okay, I'm going for the black lady. She's out the race. We're stuck with white folks again.
Well, no, wait a minute.
That's correct.
We got Barack Obama. Don't forget.
But you got to understand, he's not. It's been Barack Obama and Donald Trump.
Oh, God.
We were trying to name all the presidents we knew last night, and he's like, "You named Donald Trump? Hey, he's the president. I can't.
He is the
can't
president.
leave him out."
Yeah. So anyway, you were on a roll there. But so Michael Bloomberg is stalking you.
Michael Bloomberg is stalking me.
And
Officially.
So while he's talking to you, is there any part of the message that you're hearing that's winning you over, that's saying, you know, I think I may want to vote for Michael Bloomberg?
Hi, my name is Candis Castillo. I ran a couple of political races for Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, for State Rep Delia Ramirez, and I'm a board member of United Working Families. Hell no. No.
Just asking.
No, the only thing I want Michael Bloomberg to do is to get out the race and give money. That's it. Another Willie Wilson, the presidential white version of Willie Wilson.
Explain this.
Willie Wilson could do so much for Chicago if he stopped running and started giving money to the right candidates. The same thing with Bloomberg. Get out. Get out now.
But Candace, I have to tell you, for out-of-town listeners, Willie Wilson is perennial mayoral candidate in the city of Chicago. I think he's run the last 2 elections. He's a Republican. I've had Willie on the show many times. Willie Wilson is a Republican.
Fine.
He's a Republican.
So is Mike Bloomberg.
But my point is that I don't think he believes in the ideology. You say we should get out of the race and then support other candidates like a Jeanette Taylor. I don't believe Willie Wilson and Jeanette Taylor see eye to eye on anything.
He supported Chewy after he lost.
That is correct. I said corrected.
He supported Chewy.
Yes, he did.
I mean,
in 2015, he did support Chewy. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
sorry, Willie, I was right.
Let's have those we should have those conversations with them. Mike Bloomberg needs to get out the race before it really becomes exposed. It was him who was blocking the Central Park Five's lawsuit. Let's get that out there. Not just these NDAs, not just his racist agenda with cops in New York. Like that it needed a dissent decree from the federal government to stop. Let's talk about him denying those 5 children that were falsely imprisoned. Let's have that discussion. And what is he gonna say? I'm sorry that turned out like that? No, absolutely not. And Donald Trump's chain hadn't been yanked enough about the Central Park Five. Bloomberg needs to do nothing except for maybe, I don't know, invest in reparations for black people with his billions of dollars.
Close to $60 billion. Nonetheless, Bloomberg's number 2 in this poll. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a generational thing. I'm telling you right now, a lot of the older people that come through this studio, their central message, they say it over and over again, is that they don't literally say Candace, but I'm going to say, Candace, you got to see how the world works. And the way the world works is, Marie just dropped her phone. It's fun. I don't mean to laugh at you dropping your phone, but anyway, the way the world works is lefties like Bernie and Elizabeth Warren cannot get elected. You need a centrist, and you need a centrist with money. Be quiet, swallow whatever you believe in, join the team, vote Bloomberg.
Here's the thing. Bloomberg's commercials and the takedown of Trump, that is one thing. Whoever his media team is are amazing. Those takedowns of Trump have been great. But what Elizabeth Warren proved in this last debate is she could smack a billionaire. Period. That she could cut them down at the knees. And even Biden was getting into the act on taking him down. Yeah. Biden was like, all you got to do with these non-disclosure, little Petey over here did it, you can do it too.
No, he said my good friend because he forgot Pete's name.
Yeah, he said my good friend.
My good friend.
But, yeah. I mean, that was even like... And I want to say to all the Biden supporters out there, that was Biden's best debate. Which is good, but that was Biden's best debate. And it was also Klobuchar's worst debate.
Well, why do you say that?
Not only did she get thrown off her square, which Pete Buttigieg definitely did, and he definitely saw her as his competition when Biden saw him as his competition.
Biden saw
Buttigieg as his competition.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
And Buttigieg saw Klobuchar as his competition. It doesn't really seem, I don't know if Bernie and Warren have signed a we're not going to fight each other pact again. They weren't going after each other. All of their fire was
that's because
directed toward Bloomberg.
All right, time out. I think Elizabeth Warren made a huge blunder in that other debate. I haven't had you once. Maybe I did. I can't remember anymore. When she made that blunder, we probably talked about this then, where she went after Bernie. She allowed her representatives to put this narrative out there about a private conversation that only two people heard. It was, I think the debate was in Texas. I can't remember where it was, but I remember it was so blatantly obvious that it was a focus group's derived theme where their pollsters have come up with this notion that women are hesitant to support Bernie. So she was going to play that card. She looked bad. It backfired. And then the moderator didn't help anything, so if you recall.
No, nothing. And the non-handshake at the end.
Yes.
But I don't know if you noticed this recently with Elizabeth. Maybe in the past week and a half, it's been back to the I got a plan for that, Elizabeth. And she said it. Now, I am not supporting either Elizabeth or Bernie at this point, because those are the only two I would support. But
come on, you got to have a third. Everybody comes on the show. I make them go. I started off by doing a top 5 because of the movie, but then I go, all right, it was people were moaning and groaning. They couldn't.
I had a 5.
Who was your top 5?
Now, my number 1 was always, Marianne Williamson. No, I'm joking.
Candis is on fire today. By the way, we're going to get a hashtag White Willie going for...
Bloomberg. No, now I'm focused on vice presidential candidates. What matchups makes the best matchups?
So you're just ducking and dodging the top 3 question.
Okay, top 3.
Come on, you could do a third. Everybody's agreement on the third by now.
No pressure.
No pressure. I'm going to tell you who your top 3 are.
Okay.
And she won't admit it because she's got so many friends in the Bernie camp. But I know Candis Castillo. Her number 1 is Elizabeth Warren. She loves Elizabeth Warren, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just be honest. Her number 2 is Bernie. Okay, it's not that she doesn't like Bernie, but she loves Elizabeth Warren. And her number 3 is Joe
Lil
Biden.
Petey. Oh, sorry.
Little Petey.
That's what she called him earlier.
Joe Biden. There's your top 3.
Actually, no.
Whoa. I got the number 1 right. I got the number 2 right. Who's the number 3?
So you really don't have 1 or 2 right. Number 1. Number 3. Number 3 would be Amy Klobuchar.
Whoa! I am stunned.
Yeah. Number 3 I would pick Klobuchar over Biden. I would. Yes, I would. Klobuchar, for whatever reason, she has that Midwestern sensibility. Now, the things that she did as state's attorney, I find problematic. I find Biden even more problematic. And something had me up on a tangent last night watching old YouTube videos from previous debates and interviews with Biden. And honestly, I just don't think he has it all. I just don't. If anybody wants to talk about the health of anybody, and I don't want to put this on anybody because I hated it when they did it to Hillary. I don't think you're going to sound the same, but I just don't think it's all there.
Well, I wanted to read this column today in the Sun-Times by Mona Sharin. I don't know how to pronounce his name. She's right-winger. She's a conservative, but she hates Trump. And so I enjoy reading her because she's struggling. Like, who can she possibly vote for on the Democratic side? Because she's a right winger. She's a conservative. So she can't. Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are off. They're just too left wing. But so she had this line about Joe Biden. This is a pretty good one. Joe Biden's brain seems to have different ideas from his tongue about where his sentences should go. I thought that was a pretty good line, man.
When he called the girl a horse-faced donkey or something, I'm like, what? What What 1872 reference was that? Like, it just doesn't.
I believe a lot of horses have a donkey face. Donkeys have a horse face.
Something like
It's way
that.
worse.
But he called her that. I just don't think it's all there. I'm not saying that would be my first choice. And let me say this, and this will make a lot of people angry. I am going to vote for the nominee because I am a single issue voter. That's what Republicans have over us lefty people. My single issue is the courts, period. The courts cannot take another 4 years of Donald Trump. I don't think democracy could take another 4 years of Donald Trump, but especially not the courts. And especially, Lord, I pray for Ruth Bader Ginsburg almost as much as I pray for my own grandmother.
Wow. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I agree with everything you say. I believe that Democrats should have a vibrant primary and debate the issues. And I love Tuesday's debate. They went at it. And I just remind people, like the nervous Nellies in the Democratic Party, they don't like it when they insult each other. Oh, Ben, you know. And I'm like, you guys obviously missed the 2016 Republican debates.
Small hands. We got into small hands on a debate stage.
Yes, we did.
Small hands. And you will never hear me say I felt sorry for anybody in the Bush family. I felt sorry
for Jeb
Bush. Because he literally looked around and was like, am I still in 7th grade? That was a look on his face at most debates. Like, what part of elementary school is this?
Now, Candis, I was actually going to talk about this with the Heartland Mamas, but I'm gonna raise it with you. I talked about this at the outset. Last night, I watched a Trump rally. The Trump rally, I don't know why. I watched it. And what struck me, just brought back the notion that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are on two different universes. There's a standard of behavior that Democrats have to honor that Republicans don't even have to pretend they honor. I see it with when Donald Trump commutes the sentence of Rod Blagojevich and all the Republicans in the state of Illinois swallow their tongues and go along with it. The Chicago Tribune editorial board denounces Blagojevich, does not say one word about Trump. You didn't even know that Trump was the one that commuted the sentence. That's just law and order. Meanwhile, they're pillaring Kim Foxx because she made a phone call to Eddie Johnson. And so on the issue of law and order, double standard. And then on the issue of how you treat women, when we played I was holding this for the Heartland Mamas, but when Donald Trump was asked a question in the 2016 debate about the equivalent of what Elizabeth Warren did to Bloomberg, where they rattled off all the nasty things he said about women, he made a joke. He said, I was just talking about Rosie O'Donnell. The crowd goes nuts. It's over. It's not an issue. So how could you run? How could you beat a party when they have no standards? Democrats are trying to figure out, how do we appeal to swing voters so we get to convince them? Shouldn't Donald Trump's behavior enough get some swing voter?
So, a couple things. Let's go back to Blago. You want to know why I could care less about Blagojevich? Because Jason Van Dyke got less time than Rod Blagojevich. Period, point blank, simple. I think Jason Van Dyke is a person that should have been in jail for at least 15 years. At 16, actually 16 shots, at least 16 years. But he wasn't. He's not going to be. He just got beat up in jail the other day. He's not going to be in jail for that long.
I didn't know that. No, my point, I actually praised, I wanted Blago. I thought 14 years was too long.
I thought it was too long. So I don't care, because it's not going to make a difference. He's a Trumpocrat now, and he has gray hair. It looks much better on him. Who cares?
I'll tell you who cares. The Democratic Party is going to care when Rod Blagojevich starts going out, extolling the virtues of Donald Trump.
I hope the criminal goes to the Republican convention. I hope he has a prime spot as a convicted criminal. Trump should have all of his convicted friends at the Republican conventions with prime spots, and they should still talk about locking up Hillary Clinton because all of them been locked up.
That's correct.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what are you going to say? And the fact that that's a party with no standards, I can't believe I'm going to say this, is not the American standard, period. Period. So you have no standards on what should be. It points to the fact that that is not truly patriotic or truly American. Forget the rule of law. That is not what women, black people, brown people have fought for eons for America to be. So, patriot or not, and the Democratic Party needs to start playing to their base, black women. That's why I like I got a plan for that, Elizabeth, better, because honestly, that's where I first liked Elizabeth, when she talked about the amount of black women that die in childbirth. That's what caught my attention about Elizabeth. It was like, whoa, there's a person actually talking about that, and the asthma rate in black and brown children. That's what got my attention initially. So we can talk all of this, oh, she's not left enough, or Bernie is too left and he's scary. Bernie is talking about environmental issues in an inner city way when we have a president that doesn't believe in global warming because it snowed outside. There is no comparison.
Yeah.
So I'm going to vote for the nominee. And, you got to call people out. We are afraid as a party to call BS when we hear it.
Yeah.
So you watched the Trump rally. I am reading this book by Ed Gordon called Conversations in Black. Actually, Audible is reading it to me while I'm in the car. But some of the things that they are saying in that book, talking about, I never thought I would agree with Michael Steele, the former Republican chairman, about anything. These black people in America who are supporting Bloomberg, they talk about people staying woke, but you can still walk when you're asleep. And that's how I feel about black people, especially in Chicago, that are supporting Bloomberg. They're still asleep. They're not paying attention to what's really going on. They're sleepwalking to the polls. They're just saying, oh, well, he's a billionaire. Oh, well, he attacks Trump. Guess what? Elizabeth Warren just showed you she can take him down.
No, there's two of the most prominent politicians black politicians in the city of Chicago have openly endorsed Michael Bloomberg.
Who?
Bobby Rush endorsed Michael Bloomberg. He's a sitting congressman. All right, you're rolling your eyes, but
who is now about to have his wages garnished?
Bobby Rush, you're talking about. And then didn't Danny K. Davis endorse Michael Bloomberg? Am I correct about that?
I don't know. I don't think you're correct about that.
No, I take it back.
I'm pretty sure that Danny Davis is a Biden person.
I think you're right. I sit corrected. Sorry, Danny K. Davis.
But most
Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
But
Sorry,
most
Danny.
black people in Chicago are supporting Biden, and I promise you, dimes to donuts, you're going to see that change. But let me tell you,
it is changing. Oh my God, there's no loyalty.
But let me tell you
Biden.
what Michael Bloomberg is doing that we need to be aware of. When it comes to black and brown campaign staff, we are marginalized to an extent. There are no mid-range black and brown campaign staff on a lot of these places. I know people who are going to the Bloomberg campaign at mid-level making $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference.
We will be talking about that in a little while with the Heartland Mamas. We're all. You stole the thunder from the next interview. Heidi's laughing.
I'm sorry. I will give your thunder back.
Candis Castillo is her name. She's on a roll. We got the Heartland Mamas on deck. We should bring them on. Any closing thought? I'll see you on March 3rd.
I'll see you on March 3rd. We should have fun.
We'll have fun at the Promontory. Jeanette Taylor will be there. Candis Castillo will be there. Who else is going to? Delmarie Cobb will be there. Maya Dumasova will be there. I'll be there.
And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Candis Castillo for mayor. Let's go. That was an awesome
Man, you were on fire
performance. She looked at me like, you're insane, dude.
That is me being an elected official is the most horrible idea I've ever heard in my life.
And Candis Castillo's partner in crime will be on this show on Wednesday. Brandon Johnson will be breaking down the results.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Mm-hmm, that guy. He loves Elizabeth Warren. Brandon's been sent all over South Carolina. He was telling me last night. They got him on going from one place to another, pitching for Elizabeth Warren. Hey, she did a great job in the Bay. I got to show her some love. She did a great job in the debate.
And we'll see what happened on Saturday. I think this debate will do for Elizabeth Warren what the debate before New Hampshire did for Klobuchar. And I expect Elizabeth Warren to come in second. And I expect her to keep coming in second to Bernie, because Bernie people are some of the most dedicated people I know.
They are dedicated. I'm going to throw this out to you. I've been throwing this out. If it is a brokered convention, in my humble opinion, it could end up being Elizabeth Warren and Castro as the ticket.
Let me just say this. Mentor, love her to death. Stacey Davis Gates says she want to see Bernie and Warren. I do not.
I disagree with SDG on that one, too.
I do not. I think that we need to have a black or brown person. But since she said it, I have been hearing it more and more. I think we should look at a Stacey Abrams or a Julian Castro, or even some other people like Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor or State Rep Delia Ramirez.
Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor debating Donald Trump. Oh, would I pay to see that?
Debating Mike Pence.
Any help up.
And that F-bomb flying, pushing a beep.
JT20.
JT comes on this show. It's a podcast. You can say whatever you want. Anyway, we got the Heartland Mamas on deck. We're going to bring them on. I love having Candis Castillo on. We're going to get her. I'm going to cut a deal with her at the break, bring her back real soon. We'll be right back with the Heartland Mamas.
Big problems become big problems when you let small problems sit. Illinois is a state with a grand history of profound impact on our nation and our world. We've sent 4 transformative presidents to the White House. We were the first state to ratify 2 of the most important amendments to the U.S. Constitution, one abolishing slavery and another one granting women the right to vote. The first cell phone was invented here. So was the first television remote control and the first widely used internet browser. What all these things have in common
By the way, how bad were the Academy Awards this year? Did you see it? And the winner is a movie from South Korea. What the hell was that all about? We got enough problems with South Korea with trade. On top of it, they give him the best movie of the year. Was it good? I don't know.
Eroding beaches on Chicago's lakefront, warmer winters in the upper Midwest, microplastics in our water. What can any one person do? Our best hope for saving the planet and ourselves is through the power of we. Get to the 9th annual One Earth Film Festival, the Midwest's premier environmental film festival, March 6th through the 15th. 26 films.
26.
48 events.
48.
4 counties.
4. What's that all add up to?
My math's not what it used to be. It's all that waking and baking. Anyway, engage with filmmakers and experts. Venues include Tesla Gold Coast, Loyola University, Plant Chicago, Old St. Patrick's Church, Chicago Cultural Center, Lake Theater in Oak Park, and more. Go to oneearthfilmfest.org. What is that again, D? oneearthfilmfest.org.
Where's Dan Biss when you need him? Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show, live from the Chicago Sun-Times.
Oh, because I can't add. All right, the Heartland Mamas are here. Heidi, I got to tell you, I already got in trouble. Dennis already chastised me because I said Heartland Mamas come from the boonies. They're driving up right now. The sticks.
Yeah.
And they were like, don't do it, man. Don't call it the boonies.
We love where we live, so I don't care.
All right, before we take the deep dive, explain to folks why we call you the Heartland Mamas.
Well, there's two reasons. One is we were really tired of the media telling us what the Heartland is all about. You know, it's not what they think. And we thought, let's go into those red areas. We know people in those red areas. We know Republicans in red areas. And it's not what people think.
Oh, you mean like when people say the boonies?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Boonies. Yes.
We
that's
ran
exactly
in those
it.
red areas.
We did. So we know, and we know that's not what the Heartland is about.
Right.
And then we were talking one day when the presidential candidates, all 79 of them, started off, a year and a half ago. And I said, no, you know what? It's time for a mom. We need a mom because who keeps everything together? The mom. Who handles all of the family trips, the reunions, the holidays? The mom. She can take care of grandpa in the corner. She can take care of the kids and get them off their phone. She brings everyone together. And it's about time we have someone who can put a foot in somebody's tush when they need it and be able to mother everyone back together. So we decided to call ourselves the Heartland Mamas.
And you have your own podcast.
We do.
And whoa, you did that in unison.
We do
that a lot.
Yeah.
Murray Brill and Heidi Henry, and you each ran in the last election. It's like I always repeat this. Heidi ran for state senator against Sue Rezin in the 38th.
Yes.
And that is about as red as you can get. And you are a New Deal Democrat, and you did pretty damn good, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, well.
She was amazing.
Yeah, come on.
$30,000 and a lot of 10 pairs of shoes.
So that gets at the whole issue of are the Democrats too left for middle America?
No. I think the problem that we find is that the messaging doesn't come out to the red areas. People don't know. Last weekend I was at Fight for Democracy Festival in Morris, Illinois, which is where Sue Rezin lives. And across the street from us was some type of Trump rally. The thing is that they assume that we're all socialist and horrible people, and we assume the same thing about them.
Not that they're socialists.
And Heidi and I have found that when you
that
travel,
they're horrible people.
But when you break down those barriers, when you stop using those hot button words, those buzzwords, when you just strip it down as simple as possible, we're a lot closer and more on the same side than you would imagine.
All right. Well, what are the issues that would drive Trump voters to vote blue?
It's healthcare. 100% healthcare. I live in farm country. It's the tariffs. It's the fact that Trump closed all of our markets to Mexico and China, and our governor JB had to go out and get new markets for us in Taiwan, or is it Thailand? Taiwan and the Dominican Republic. We shouldn't have to go create new markets. We had great markets. We just did a thing about Joni Ernst, and we found out that because of Trump's tariffs, each hog they produce in Iowa now costs $12 more to produce because of the tariffs. It's not $12 more they get to pocket. It's $12 more that it costs them to create this piggy. And I may not be a pig farmer. I've never had pigs, but I totally understand.
Like pigs.
I like to eat them. I had some for lunch today, but I don't. But
Did you have a BLT or something?
No, we had.
She had pork fried rice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was really good.
I had
was like,
sushi.
what was it that I ate? But I know there was piggy in it. But I know agricultural economics. My son has a master's degree in agricultural economics. We talk about that stuff. It's kitchen table stuff at our house. Well, not anymore. He moved away. But the thing is that when you take away the markets And in Iowa, they lost their pork market, they lost their corn market, they lost their ethanol market because of the waivers. You have to appeal to people in their pocketbook, right? So it's healthcare and pocketbook issues in the heartland. And here's what we've discovered is that the Democratic Party does a terrible job messaging west of Will County all the way to California.
I would take it even a step farther and say that the entire way the Democratic Party operates is incorrect. Not just the messaging, but the Republican Party is top down. They follow in line. They goose step, as Heidi says, right behind their leaders. We're larger, the tent, we encompass a lot more.
Let's not do the bigger tent right now.
But we are still trying to operate under the pyramid model, top down. We're not actually looking at the people who are a part of the party and asking what's important to them, getting to know them. It all comes out of Washington, out of think tanks with polling groups. It doesn't come out of regular people who are the ones facing the consequences and who are the ones going out and voting. But we think it's okay, and you can see that even up to 2016.
Yeah.
Well, did you watch it? You watched it. I presume you
Oh
two
my God.
junkies watched the debate. And there was a moment to this point. We'll get into the Elizabeth Warren and Bloomberg and Donald Trump, et cetera. But there was a moment to this point, which perhaps was Bloomberg's, what he would figure was his strongest moment, when they were talking about whether the label Democratic Socialist would hurt the party to have Bernie at the top. And they were talking about what a Democratic Socialist is. And Bloomberg said, this conversation alone will elect Donald Trump.
I think that he does have a point there, and that was the one point I would have given him, because when I talk to people out at the Trump rally, because they'll always come over and try to engage us, and they'll say the same things. The thing is they don't understand what a Democratic Socialist is. They kind of loosely understand what a socialist is, but when you try to change the conversation to social programs, to education, to plowed roads, to
take social out of it and just talk about the issue. So when you encounter someone like this, it's very simple. All you do is bring the issue. So how have the tariffs affected you at all? Are you seeing where prices go up in the meat? I know I am. And they're like, well, yeah, it's getting a lot more expensive.
But if the conversation is labels, and the labels are applied to Bernie Sanders as
absolutely,
that is, the person who's running for the congressional seat against Adam Kinzinger, out by me, Danny Brzezowski, is a Democratic Socialist, and she had, when I was running for office, to my detriment, a discussion on Democratic socialism in the heart of bright red Trump country, and I'm like, I've got enough battles to battle uphill. This is not the conversation to have during my race, but it was my race, not hers. So, and I understand what she was trying to do is she's trying to educate people and let them know that this isn't bad. This is, talking about taking our tax dollars and putting them towards people and programs instead of corporate America.
Why can't we just rebrand it as FDR Democrats? Take that socialist out and party.
Well,
DNC, start listening.
Heidi Henry ran as a New Deal Democrat.
Exactly.
And I remember when I met Heidi, it blew my mind because it's like, I forget where we were when I met.
Morris, Illinois.
Morris. I was not going to say boonies, okay, because I get in trouble. But we were out somewhere. Eagles Club. Anyway, she did New Deal Democrat. I almost fell in my chair. Maria, I don't know if New Deal Democrat, I hear you branding. They're calling Bernie a communist.
Of course.
Democrats play into that. Chris Matthews plays into they
Chris Matthews is a warped, frustrated old boil.
That's correct.
I cannot stand that man. He should have gone away a long time ago. Thank you.
Well
Dennis.
done.
Awesome.
Denmark.
Yeah. I know. I just don't get me started on Chris Matthews. I'm really trying to stay cool, but just to think that just one more time that voice is on the liberal. Wow.
And look at what's his name. Oh, for the life of me, come on! He's about to get booted out for Nicole Wallace. Chuck Todd.
Yeah.
Oh, he's another one.
Worst haircut in all of political news.
This is me going, oh my God, I have to listen to Chuck Todd moderate again. He is so heinous that I won't watch Meet the Press. I won't watch anything that he's on because I can't stand him.
Well, my attitude, and I don't know if I'm right at all.
He'll be great on Fox, by the way.
Who?
Chuck Todd, because I'm sure that's
Chris
where
Matthews.
Oh, I don't even know who he is.
Chris Matthews?
I don't watch. I
You don't want to know.
All right, you don't want to know. All
Lucky
right,
you.
let's forget I even mentioned him. So my notion has been that these old concepts of communism and trying to scare voters into voting Republican, which have been so successful in the past, going back to like the 40s, are not as effective anymore in the age of Trump. Trump's broken so many standards.
Although I would say it's still effective. And perhaps when you and Candis were talking, you were talking about the uneven playing field, right?
Mm-hmm.
How we are held to a higher standard and
Yes.
how we conduct ourselves. And that's why Bloomberg is so popular, because he's swinging and we all want to fight back.
Yeah.
Politics is visceral. So if we can take and turn that into fascists, teach people what a fascist is, what a dictator is, and start calling the Republican Party that if we wanted to, we could chin up that fear and move in that direction. We could do the same thing they do.
To that point, the anti-Trumpers came over to our Fight for Democracy rally and called us Antifa, and I thought, well, shouldn't we all be anti-fascist?
Yeah.
I'm not sure you even know what that means, So the labels are tough, and Bernie carries a pretty divisive one,
He does.
And the thing is it's divisive for all the wrong reasons. If the people who are afraid of that branding, and I'm not talking about Democrats, I'm talking about Republicans who don't understand what that means. If they understood what it meant and were open to it, which is the closed-mindedness of a Trump supporter, they would be like, yeah, of course I want that. Of course I do. And, that's the problem. And that's a big reason we started our program, because we wanted to change the conversation, because we did a show on how many hours of conservative radio of broadcasting are done each day, and it's about 3,500 hours. There is about 300 hours of progressive or Democratic.
They control so much more of the media, and
Every
they
day.
control so much more of the message. And I know we talk about radio seems to seem irrelevant, and people may
It
not,
isn't.
but it isn't so much. So people listen to 90% of people listen to radio for at least 10 minutes a day.
Right.
So it's very powerful. And when all you have, we've mentioned this before on the show, when all you have is Joe, who's been put up by the Republican Party to do a show about real estate and can input some ideas in there, and it's constantly being reinforced, what happens?
Well, and then you have the religious channels that come in that enforce the stereotypes of different ethnicities, that enforce the stereotypes of women, that enforce the stereotypes of child labor, and so on. And we have to remember that this is a big hill that we're climbing up against, since we got rid of the Fairness Doctrine. That this just opened this floodgate that we can have entities, and you're naming people from MSNBC that don't understand the concepts and can't deliver the information clearly. And I want to say that when I was driving home and I was listening to the debate coming home from taking care of my dad, and I'm listening to it on my Bluetooth, and it quit on me. It was not on any radio station. I went through every single.
You're right. I was in the same situation. Yeah, you're right.
So, and I'm thinking to myself, we were in some really rural areas of Iowa where you might get radio, but you're not going to get Wi-Fi.
Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky,
right.
everywhere
Kansas,
you go.
Missouri.
If you drive anywhere.
If you drive away from a radio tower or from a cell tower, you're not going to get Wi-Fi. You might get radio, but you're going to get a 50,000 watt or larger station, right? You're not going to be able to always get Sirius or something like that. So you're dependent on whatever they broadcast. Well, there are some areas that we found in the country that have a complete blackout of any liberal media, period. We've been to places where it's not even on the television dial. There's Fox, and there might be C-SPAN, but there's nothing else. You don't get even CNN or MSNBC. You just get the local.
Guys, you're singing to the choir.
Right.
I was on liberal radio. I got fired for being too liberal on liberal radio. Liberals are insane.
That would
They
happen
say
to
they
me.
want to beat Trump, and then they pull their punches. I'm with you 100%.
They punch themselves in the face. It's like, it's ridiculous that we have to go through all these hoops to just say we need common human decency to prevail here. And if we can't get to common human decency, what the hell are we as the Democratic Party? What are we?
I'm reading a book right now called moral sugar
I don't
puff.
remember.
Sure, I get this build up and I can't even remember what it is.
I know.
Been
there, done that.
The Righteous Mind.
Okay.
Is what it's called,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an older book, but basically he's a.
It's only 2013. It's not that old.
Well, but this is before Trump was in office, so it may have some
different world.
different relevancies.
True.
But the whole premise is he's a moral psychologist, and he's tried to blend various philosophies and psychologies to figure out why people are driven. And it's all about religion and politics in a divided world. Mm-hmm. And so what he talks about is it's all visceral. It is all emotional. There is no way to rationalize. So they do these very simple thought experiments with people. Things like, there's no victim in it. It's a taboo that's broken, but there's no crime, no anything. And you watch people begin to rationalize as they progress, like having relations with a chicken is one example. But it's dead. He buys it at the store, does that, and then cooks it.
Okay.
And you watch as people say,
wow.
Those with a more liberal mind don't want to make a judgment. And then
I'm judging it all over the place.
But his point is that they argue it
and I don't want to go for dinner there.
Their arguments are not logical or rational. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to find why it's wrong, but they can't explain why it's wrong. It's just something inside. And that's how he says we get to bridging the divide, is viscerally and emotionally. And we far too often lose that, which is why I think Bernie and Elizabeth appeal to such a large portion. Amy comes off a little stiff. Joe is whatever. But they're very factual, and that's why Bloomberg is getting a big push because he's passionate, he's hostile, he's bringing that fight and appealing to people on a visceral level.
I actually have to say I'm going to disagree with you on that point, the last point about Bloomberg. Bloomberg's where he is because he has unlimited amount of money to launch an around-the-clock campaign.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And many Democrats have substituted that ability with electability. Mm-hmm. And they're working from the assumption that this is what it takes. It worked with Pritzker, so with completely overlooking all the differences. And I could write a thesis on all the differences between Bloomberg and Pritzker in terms of their background, in terms of their worldview, in terms of where they fit in the Democratic Party, and in how they've approached the election. Pritzker actually worked to build a base.
For 2 years prior, he worked hard.
He worked really hard. And, he didn't do it just through TV commercials. He was out there. He was out there by us in Marseille,
Illinois.
He was
shaking hands and pressing flash,
all
and
the
that's
time.
something that Kennedy didn't do.
Oh, Kennedy, we never saw him again.
Bloomberg marched in the Sukar's Labor Day parade on the southeast side of Chicago.
Bloomberg did?
I might be Bloomberg. I meant Pritzker.
Pritzker will, yeah.
Pritzker marched. I remember seeing him sweating like a horse. Remember that day?
Yeah.
And he worked. He worked at it. Bloomberg just drops in. All right, now I'm going to.
And we saw what happens when he got his butt handed to
All right,
him
now
on
let's
stage.
deal with that. D, you got the Trump. This is how Trump handled. I've been promoting this one all day. Get ready for your response. 2016, Trump's famous response to a question similar to the one that Bloomberg had to deal with. Take it away, D.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
There you go. Megyn Kelly asking the question. He gets a one-liner about Rosie O'Donnell. The crowd cheers. It's over. It's not an issue he has to deal with. There are no standards when it comes to Republicans toward their attitude toward women. They can be misogynist as they want, and they'll still get the support of the Republican Party down the line.
Absolutely.
I remember that night and the look on Megyn Kelly's face, because you could read her eyes how much she loathed him at that moment, because we know famously that Megyn Kelly has also been through that. Any woman who has been lived as a sexual
Me Too moment,
yeah, who's been assaulted or discriminated against or
discriminated, marginalized.
We felt that at a visceral level. And maybe there are some immature people that were in that audience and some people who also buy into the marginalization. When it happened to me when I was 25, I really felt like it was my fault. Maybe it was how I dressed. Maybe it was how I walked through the warehouse that provoked the attack. I don't know. But, I ended up losing my job for reporting sexual harassment.
I lost my job for being pregnant.
Yeah. So I had to hurry up and find a new one because I was pregnant at the time before I started showing.
And pregnancy was a pre-existing condition before the ACA, so it wasn't covered. I didn't change insurance.
The job I changed.
Oh,
to,
and
I
now
didn't get
did you
insurance
see
yet.
the reps? The reps in what state are worried about their tax-free? That women, they have a tax-free weekend, and they want to take tampons and sanitary napkins out of the tax-free bracket
because we might stock up.
I kid you not.
We might stock up.
It's like we always wish we had stocked up back in those days, but we didn't. But
no exaggeration, because women would abuse getting tampons.
I presume there's a Republican.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, what I said, no standards in the Republican Party. So finish your thought.
So what I was doing with that is that, I could see how Megyn Kelly was feeling, but she had to go with it because this was the guy that was running. This was the standard bearer for the Republican Party. And in a way, because of her job, kind of sort of her boss or her superior. So you have to acquiesce to that because you want to have a job. And Megyn Kelly, of course, does she have a job right now? I don't think so. She's not in the public eye anymore, But with Elizabeth Warren, and I told Murray, I said, she's standing next to Bloomberg. And I came home and rewatched it because I had heard most of it through my Bluetooth. But I wanted to see her body language. And when we show horses and we're mad, we do something called a full body flip off, where we stand up really straight and we just, I'm here and I'm going to, I'm winning,
Heidi's a horse trainer, folks.
Right.
Okay.
So you do the full body flip off, and I could just see her. She was just seething. And I thought, here she's got to stand next to a man that would marginalize her in a heartbeat, because he can buy and sell her, right? Yeah. And that's how women end up being treated in the workplace. And then, to Bloomberg's detriment, he had to stand next to a honey badger in a nice cardigan, and she took him out.
Honey badger
in a nice cardigan.
But for all of us that have been through that, I mean, I'm in my car cheering. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Every woman that had to sign an NDA in order to get another job, because that's why we have to sign them, because we're not going to work again until we do. We might get a little bit of money, but we're going to have to sign that NDA just to get a damn job, just to pay our damn bills. Yeah. And that happens to women exponentially more than it happens to men. So every woman out there that had to go through that was like, So, because I felt it on a visceral level. Yeah. I felt it. And 25-year-old me was doing wheelies in my car.
So, I agree with everything you just got. That was a great riff that you just went on, Heidi. So what I lead to is this. I don't believe I'm going to start it by saying, I don't believe there's any way in the world that I would vote for Mike Bloomberg in the Democratic primary. I think of all the people on that stage, he's probably the last guy I would vote for. Okay. Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard might be right in there,
well,
but she wasn't on the stage. Right?
Okay. So but I'm with Candis. I'm voting for, if he's the nominee, I'm voting for him.
Right.
All right. So
We're kind of in that boat.
What can, in your opinion, Michael Bloomberg say? I mean, obviously the Donald Trump model, where you make fun of the question, you mock women even more.
Democrats will not tolerate
You're
that.
not going to tolerate, because Democratic Party has some standards.
She was talking about the black women who've been through it more than white women. By far, the numbers, the data shows us that.
You're talking about Candis, yeah.
Candis.
Yeah.
But black women are more likely to be sexually harassed or assaulted.
So what could Michael Bloomberg possibly say to address that issue? Because he's got a debate coming up on Tuesday.
I endorse Elizabeth Warren, and
I'm
here's
writing her a check
for $2 billion.
That's
what he could say.
That's what he could do. We're on the same page with
that
know.
One. You got it, girl.
Did you guys plan that?
No.
People on the live stream chat are raving about you guys. We love it when you're here. You guys are awesome, authentic. You're real. We posted your podcast, your latest episode, on the live stream and on our Facebook page. You guys had Joni Ernst on your show.
No, we just went after Joni Ernst.
Yeah,
She's
we
part
just
of our
attacked Joni Ernst.
Oh, well, that's a different thing.
Are you kidding? We told
you said Joni Ernst coming on.
It said Joni Ernst. I figured out she must be a guest.
We have a series called Ousting 8, which is the 8 most vulnerable senators
Because it doesn't matter if we win the White House or not. If we do not flip the Senate, just like Candis was talking about justice reform, it's not going to happen.
Nope.
And when we've done our deep dives on things, we look back and all the protections, the fairness doctrine as it slowly was eroded away, those all happened under conservative courts. Every decision, and these layers are pulled back ridiculously. All of our money, we think Citizens United was the reason that dark money is there.
It didn't happen in
There
a
were
vacuum.
like 6 other Supreme Court decisions that allowed that to happen. And it's all under conservative courts. So the courts are by and far the most important thing.
What are they conserving, Murray? We've
Not my sanity.
No. Every time somebody tells me, well, I'm a conservative, I'm like, please tell me what that means, because I don't know what you're conserving except corporate America. Money for the wealthy. Because you're not conserving anything.
So, in other words, by the way, that was a great line. The best way to respond is to say, I'm dropping out of the race and supporting Elizabeth Warren. Okay, I don't think that's going to be your response.
But that's the only way it would work.
If he's smart, because the next time, I don't know what she's going to hand him, but he's
He's got to deal with it somehow or other. And
how can he? How can he? Is an
I don't know.
independent
I don't know. That's why I asked you the question.
No, I have to throw this out here. I know there's a million conspiracies and things. I know he's arrogant and confident and but something about this just doesn't quite fit. Why he ever got in the race.
Are you getting into the Heidi theory of?
I'm thinking about the Heidi theory.
What's the Heidi
She's got
theory?
me
I've not
thinking.
heard this.
Well, I had a theory early on that the reason we had so many candidates is to confuse Trump, so he doesn't know who to concentrate on.
No, I knew she was wrong there.
Okay. Wait. So then he was focusing, zeroes in on Biden, because that's his guy. Yeah. I don't think Joe Biden ever intended to win. So Joe Biden made a lot of gaffes. Wait,
this
but
theory.
it distracted.
Get the bong out.
Yeah, really, we might need it. So, but it distracted Trump to the point of impeaching himself. And then they thought, well, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to drop low in the polls and then drop out. So Clinton had to come out and she had to throw slings and arrows at Sanders for a while to get people talking about that. And Trump is confused then. And then he gets exonerated. And then in hops Bloomberg, and he's like, he just hates Donald Trump on a level we can't understand, because on a billionaire level.
That may be the only reason that he got in, was just because of his sheer absolute despite of Trump.
Yeah, he hates Trump.
So now you've done a great job. You've gotten people
going.
fired up.
Yeah.
Gotten riled. Now go away.
Well, I think he's got a little more time to keep roiling in. But I think
I wonder that her theory on Bloomberg
time
is
out.
plausible.
I
don't know if we should spend any more time on this, but I'm still not clear what exactly the Heidi Henry theory
My theory is that it's all to confuse Donald Trump.
So in other words, Michael Bloomberg.
So the other candidates are safe.
I think now, and you're right.
Yeah, right.
And Heidi doesn't even smoke pot.
No, no tincture, nothing for me. So
I thought I saw her out by the rocks with me one time in the 70s.
No wake and
maybe
bake?
in the 70s, but not.
No wake and bake.
No.
I thought I saw a young woman like Heidi Henry out in the rocks. We were smoking.
Maybe in the 70s,
but. Well, listen, but what you just said is so true when I think about it. Michael Bloomberg seems as though it really bothers him that Donald Trump is the president,
right?
Yes. And that even though that Michael Bloomberg,
do you think
in
he
his
really
view,
wants to be president?
Who, Trump or Bloomberg?
Bloomberg.
Oh yeah,
well,
that's more power,
No.
Ego,
more power and more ego. And
no, he just wants to topple his.
Yeah, that's what he doesn't
enemy.
actually want to do the job of president. He just wants to win.
You know what?
He just wants to beat
topple
Trump.
him.
He wants to destroy him.
I got to tell you this. So many people have told me down for the last 4 years that Donald Trump did not want to be president.
No, he just likes being a bully.
But he sure seems to be enjoying the job right now.
Well, we're paying for all his golfing trips. We were paying to get it.
We're making his family fabulously wealthy.
His company is making a ton of money when he charges Secret Service to stay at properties $800 a night, which is 4 times over the amount those.
So I was going to use your appearance on this show to give advice to Michael Bloomberg, but apparently the only advice you have to offer Michael Bloomberg is to get out of the race and endorse Elizabeth Warren.
Well, because when you look at him,
keep those centrists going your way, and then right before drop out, endorse her. Bing! Convention not brokered. She wins.
Well, you know, Murray's thought it all the way through to the end. You know, he, you know, and I told you, somebody referred somebody to me to work for him, and is a relatively modest income person. I really did think about it. The money was nice. The perks were nice.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Before you go further.
Yeah.
Are you ready to talk about this for real?
I will talk about it for real.
All right. This is the big moment that I've been waiting for. Drum roll, please. Yesterday when I was talking to Heidi, we were talking about what we were going to talk about on the show. And can I say it?
Yeah,
All right.
go ahead.
Then I want you to do your riff.
Okay.
So Heidi Henry, as I said, she ran for state senator in 2018. So she's got a name that she's known in parts of the state where the Democrats are not particularly strong.
Right.
And she got an outreach from the Bloomberg campaign.
Yes.
Take it away, Heidi Henry.
So I get a call, and my dad's in hospice up in Wheaton, and I'm in my car or with him all the time. So I get a call asking if I would be interested in working on the campaign. And it's like, and I said to her, "Isn't that the stop and frisk guy?" So I mean,
This was about 2 months ago.
That's what we're campaigning on.
So
Mike, stop and frisk.
Well, and I'm thinking,
Yeah, it
maybe
was a
I
while
have the
ago.
wrong guy, because why would that guy run as a Democrat, right? So, she's like, well, he's made amends for that. And I thought, I don't think so. I think that was going on, by 2013, it was still going on. So I said, I'm really busy right now. Call me back. So I went home and I read his webpage, which was really good. I read everybody's platform. So I read all of his platform and I thought, yeah, but, so then I Googled his name. I'm like, holy cow, I don't think I can work for this guy. Well, then they called back and to say what it paid. It was like $6,000 a month all the way through the end of November, whether he won through the primary or not.
That's the one thing that surprises me, is that he's keeping the offices open all the way through November,
That's why
even if he doesn't win.
That's why I don't think he intends to win.
That's why I don't think he's planning on winning.
So, but it was, I carry a tiny little phone because I keep it in my pocket because I'm a farmer, but it was like an iPhone 11 and an iPad. And I said, I can't put that many kind of miles on my car doing the 16th and 17th congressional districts. Oh, we'll get you, we'll get you a lease car to drive around. I'm like, oh, that would be nice.
So $6,000 a month.
Yeah.
And a leased car.
Yeah,
Guaranteed
laptop.
through November.
Yeah.
And a laptop.
Well, you have to make your numbers.
And an iPad.
So you got to find
And an iPod.
No, well,
Pad.
iPhone 11. Yeah. So it was very specific, and we had 3 phone calls. So the 4th phone call I knew was coming, and all I kept thinking is me walking into, let's say, the LaSalle County Democrats and saying, "I'm there to represent Michael Bloomberg." People would stand up and go, "You are lying.
So
you lied." Because
as Heidi's telling me about this, I'm like, you're going to have to go to a different state to do it.
Well,
Because
that's
no
what-
one would believe that
they
you're
did
for
it.
Bloomberg.
That's what I told her, like on the 2nd or 3rd phone call. I'm like, I'd have to leave the state to do that. Well, would you relocate? No, I have a farm. I can't go anywhere. I've been on one vacation in 15 years, So no, I don't go anywhere. So, finally they called back the 4th time they called, and I said, look, I'm going to stop you because it's not worth selling my soul to do this. I can't.
It would have been approximately $70,000.
Right. And I think I told you, my husband is handicapped. We are not having the retirement we thought we'd have. And $70,000 would help us have a little fun.
I would like to say that I am not sure he's hiring the brightest and the best.
Because you've met them.
I have met some
I've
in
met a
the
few of
area.
them, too.
And
I think a lot of Heidi Henrys have turned them down.
Yeah.
So, I don't think I'm the only one. In fact, because I told you, the person who called me initially was somebody who I know is a Bernie-crat. I mean, a hardcore Bernie-crat from Evanston that called me and said, look, I'm going to be doing this. I know that you could use, I said, I don't know that you know how hard I work. I said, I don't have time to take on another job.
Wait, time out. The person who called you was a Bernie-crat?
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, can I get the pronoun right? A he? Okay.
He?
Is it he?
Oh, I didn't mean to say that.
Well, that's all right. Doesn't matter. Nobody can figure out. There's a lot of Bernie-crats in Evanston just by saying he. I just wanted to get the right pronoun.
Yeah.
All right. So is this he now work? This Bernie-crat is working for Bloomberg.
Yeah, but not in this state any longer. In a different state now.
Probably. Oh, he's in the, what does they call it? A hidden identity thing?
I can't.
Witness protection?
Witness protection.
The bros will turn on him.
Right.
He'll be drawn and quartered.
We don't call him
He's
bros.
not in the Nevada. He's not in Nevada.
No.
And he's not in the union. So the Bernie friends aren't going to go after him. He should be safe.
Well, he was.
What an exaggeration! I just got to say, the crying that was the part of the debate that had me rolling my eyes. I stay away from social media because I just think it's a cesspool.
Yes.
But to pick on Bernie people as like the only people out there being complete and total jerks on the social media.
Hang on. Do we even know that it was really Bernie people?
No, we do not know.
Because we know about the Russian interference to divide Hillary and Bernie people.
We know about the Republican disinformation programs. We know that social media, they buy up. There are chunks of time where large, old Twitter accounts are purchased. They build followings over 6 to 9 months, particularly
they can get your
religious
phone number.
target groups that are very unlike what you would think the Republicans would have, like an LGBTQ group, a Muslim group. And they push these ideas, and it's a bot. Yeah. It's horrible.
So anyway, back to your Bernie story. Your Bloomberg story. So you ultimately said no.
I stopped him. I stopped her because it was a woman that was doing the other interviewing, and I stopped her. I knew that the job offer was coming. I knew exactly what it was, and I said, you know what, I want you to take my name out of contention. I said, maybe 20 years ago I'd think about it. I said, but I can't wrap my head around supporting somebody who threw over, I think it's over 1 million young men that were stopped and frisked, wasn't it? Like 1.4 million. I said, I can't imagine what it did, not only to them, but to their children, if they had children, to their mothers. I think that's what hurt me the most, is thinking about what their mothers must have felt like when your young son is going to the store, and maybe he's got some pot in his pocket, or maybe he's got a 38 special, but he's not doing any crimes. He's going to the store. They throw him up against the wall. He ends up in prison. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. And I shouldn't have had it, right? But God, I just think of all the families that tore apart. And the thing is, it's the residual, because if they had children, those children then grew up without fathers in their lives.
Or when their fathers came back, they weren't able to get jobs.
Well, they weren't able to get jobs. They weren't able to, they were different. Yeah. I know what World War II did destroy my dad, and he's 90, almost 98, and it still haunts him. I can't imagine going to prison.
No, it's it's a really difficult thing for any Democrat to deal with that. And so there are these two huge issues that Michael Bloomberg has to address. If he's not running in the Republican primary, these might help him in a Republican primary, but he's running in the Democratic primary, has to deal with them. He can't just stand on stage.
Would see, look at him. Oh, he stopped crime. No, he didn't. He destroyed the lives of young men. He destroyed the lives of young men of color. That's horrible. More than the NDAs, I just kept thinking about that, because I tried to spend some time just thinking about how I would couch that. And I thought, you cannot explain that away. You cannot justify it. You cannot make it right. And he only stopped because the Obama administration got after him. And every time he runs those commercials with Obama in it, I know Obama wasn't a centrist Democrat, but for God's sake, he's got to be just... Well,
Obama has done that with so many people. All right, we'll hold off that Obama thing, because I could just feel there I go on my Obama thing. We really are out of time.
I know.
Just tell folks where they can find your name of your podcast, how they can find it, all that good stuff.
Well, it's the Heartland Mamas, MAMAS.com. You can find us on Demcast, which is Democratic Broadcasting. We love Demcast. And
anywhere you get your social media or podcasts, it's just at Heartland Mamas,
MAMAS.com. You can also find us, if we're camera ready, you can watch us
on YouTube. I have some really funny facial expressions, and when I get animated, it's hilarious. I look at myself and go, "What the hell are you doing?"
She also does voices, and it's like she'll say,
Wait, you do some of your voices.
Oh, I can do many. Yeah, I can't. Oh, no. See, it just comes out naturally. So you gotta be
Ben is speechless.
Stop.
I love voices.
Oh,
I know. I keep telling her.
I've done them before when I'm talking.
But she'll
become different characters.
Do you have a Donald Trump imitation?
No, but my 11-year-old has the best Donald Trump impersonation. He is awesome.
We'll bring him in next time.
He is so good.
Sign us off like a chipmunk. How about that?
Yeah, sign us off like a
And before
chipmunk.
you do that, though, and make sure that you can find their latest episode of their show.
Not with Joni Ernst. But
No, well, it said featuring Joni Ernst on there. So I was like, whoa, is she on there?
And she ties in with the dark money that we did an episode
God.
on, and how
Unqualified super PACs and Joni Ernst.
Listen to him jab Joni Ernst. It's on our Facebook page at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show. Please
Thank
go
you
check
for
it out. Oh, you're great friends of the show. Hell yeah! I'm glad we
I
met
love
you
the
in
Heartland
Morris.
Mamas. All right, before sign out by doing your chipmunk imitation.
Do the chipmunk and do the thing about the bigger tent. Why shouldn't we have a bigger tent, Murray? Come on.
I've never seen her shy. I'm like, Dennis is always making me do it. He makes me sing.
I know.
Let him hear
Well,
Ken Davis.
When I get animated and angry,
That's how she is when we're recording, and I'll look at her and I'm like,
how does a chipmunk sound?
I don't know, but apparently I sound like an angry chipmunk when I get upset. I have this voice that tends to go a little bit higher, and it gets a little bit louder, and then all of a sudden you think you're talking to Alvin.
Oh my God, it does sound like Alvin.
Yes, yes. It's not my fault, and I look like a small woodland creature. That doesn't help either.
we actually have our chairs set because we sit next to each other. Hers is set way higher because otherwise my head looks like it's too big.
That was the chipmunk, Alvin. That did it.
So.
All right, I want to thank Marie Brio, Heidi Henry, Candis Castillo, Rummana Hussain. Great show. We were just one great person after another. But I think we all agree none of this would work without the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois. And as Heidi Henry could tell you, back home in Alton, they call him White Lightning. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. Have a great weekend, everybody.
That will forever be my nickname. And remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows and Benny J bonus interviews at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcast. Seriously, check out the Heartland Mamas podcast. These two are awesome, dear friends of the Ben Joravsky Show. Go check it out on our Facebook page. Find them online, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you download the show, remember, we live stream the Ben Joravsky Show Tuesdays through Fridays, 1 until 3 p.m. Central Time at both Sun-Times and Reader websites and the Chicago Sun-Times YouTube channel. Join us. Join the live stream chat. We'll see you Tuesday. Oh, Benny J bonus interviews. Don't forget those as well. Those are going to be up.
Big problems become big problems when you let small problems sit.
That's correct.